that is 4. A little deceiving here at the Adelaide Oval at the moment. We look for the pickets to be the boundary, but they have actually got a marker some metres in front of that.
Very good effort by the wicketkeeper. Ball short outside off stump. Elaine flashing at it and going wide, and he may well have moved just a touch late, and it certainly wasn't first slip's catch, and it's a very important facet of wicketkeeping that the wicketkeeper goes for those catches. What it does, of course, is that it allows the first slip to stand a little bit wider and consequently get a few more catches to his right-hand side. So disappointing for Australia, a lucky break for Elaine. At the end of the 3rd over, England none for 11.
That's Mark Elaine, 101 runs in this competition, and 40 against the ICC for an average of 14.4. And so the opening batsman, having had an average of 17 and 14, obviously haven't enjoyed a great amount of success so far, Mark Elaine. But it's now Ramprakash who is receiving.
Mark Elaine's actually playing cricket in Australia during the off-season from Gloucestershire. He's playing for Preston, and I'm sure that he will have learned a lot on the extra bounce the Australian wickets have got and the extra pace. And although he hasn't had a great time in this carnival, he'll take back many fond memories and many experiences. And many Australian cricketers have been going to England in the off-season for years. And in the last 10 years or so, a lot of English county cricketers have come out to Australia to play. And Elaine, born in England, but went back to Barbados, the island of many great cricketers, and probably one of the greatest, Gordon Greenidge, played club cricket here in Adelaide. England having that one life last over, or Lane having the life of Holdsworth. A pretty comfortable start in 4 overs, in the 4th over, sorry. Already 11 runs on the board. And their highest partnership being 14. They'll be pretty keen to get past that, of course, but they're going along comfortably at the moment.
Yes, the current run rate of 3.7, and certainly supports what you've got to say. Mullally, who's bowling in his 2nd over. So the big, tall left-arm West Australian generated a little bit of bounce on that occasion. And Mark Ramprakash, who's on 3. Ramprakash just got tied up a little bit there, but not in any discomfort at all. And Mullally finishes his 2nd over and the 4th over of the morning. None for 11 at the moment.
This is Mullally's action, and the things to look for are how side on he gets, and the way that fast bowlers get side on is by jumping and turning their back foot. In his case, the left foot should be parallel, which it is. Although he opens up just a little bit, it's a pretty good action. Of course, the left-hander's strength is moving the ball across the right-hander's body, and if possible, being able to bring it back. And I can assure you, if left-hand bowlers can do that, they create a bit of havoc. This pitch was used yesterday, of course, and having a look at it before the start of play, it's in pretty good nick, as one would expect here at Adelaide. Not too many marks or scuff marks or cracks have appeared. And tomorrow there's a McDonald's Cup semi-final between South Australia and Tasmania. And that's being used on a pitch you can see in the background there, which is some 4 pitches to the east. And that is actually the test track here at Adelaide Oval, situated in the centre of the square and arguably the best of the pitches. And that game is tomorrow. And following that McDonald's Cup game, the curator, Les Burdett, will make a decision as to where he'll play the final of this Youth Cup, either on the pitch presently used or on that McDonald's Cup pitch tomorrow.
Beautiful shot there, just well pitched up, and it'll go into the boundary now for 4 runs. So a very, very nice shot there from Mark Elaine. Takes him along to 9.
There's one thing the fast bowlers can't afford to do in any game of cricket, but specifically one-day cricket, is over pitch. Batsmen are or tend to look onto the aggressive side of batting. Anything that's over pitched, especially with the short boundaries here at Adelaide Oval Square, just races away. England are none for 15. None for 16 now. And that's a leg by. That's the 4th of the sundries. And in fact, that's England's highest opening partnership for the Carnival. So when you consider, Ian, that they're into the semi-finals with just an opening stand or highest opening stand previously of 14, must have something going for them, and they can get through these opening overs of the Australian new ball attack. They're going to put some pressure on the Australians. Any side batting first in one-day cricket's got the upper hand.
Yes, with Holdsworth on his way again, and obviously they've got a bit of strength in the middle order. Ramacrash on 3, Lane on 9, and that's 3 runs off 17 overs, so he certainly hasn't been electrifying. But the most important part is, as David Hooks has said, that to hold your wicket. Wayne Holdsworth from New South Wales on his way, gets the edge, it goes down through the gully area, and they will just take the single. So that's the end of that particular over. England are none for 17 as we take a break.
You can see us on After Dark Tuesday night at 9 o'clock.
This week on After Dark, it's the Penthouse Pet of the Year Awards at the Sydney Boulevard Hotel with your hosts Ray Burgess and Tracy Bennett. Meet the finalists. Feel the excitement. The Penthouse Pet of the Year Awards this Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
That's the England scorecard. Mark Ramprakash on 4 and Mark Elaine on 9. None for 17 as the big tall Alan Malali from Western Australia. And Australia would be pretty keen to get a breakthrough here, David, in the 6th over.
Yes, the English middle order has been their strength. As we mentioned, poor opening partnerships up until this stage. And if Australia don't get the breakthrough in the next couple of overs, they're going to be in a bit of strife for a while. And just a matter then of they've got a medium pacer and a leg spinner as part of their 5-pronged attack. And it's okay to have medium pacers and leg spinners in your attack in limited over cricket, but what they really need to be doing is bowling towards the middle and latter stages of the batting attack. Very difficult thing to do for a leg spinner to come on in a one-day game if the side are none for 60 or none for 70. And if the player's prepared to take a few risks and hit him off his line, it's very hard for him to get it back, knowing that there's 8 or 9 blokes still to come in. Classical left-arm delivery here, going across the batsman, getting the outside edge, but only succeeding in running down the gully to Tucker. Tucker, the leg spinner that we were talking about, Adrian Tucker, from New South Wales. And he's got a big job ahead of him this afternoon if Australia can't get a breakthrough. Very interesting to see Australia pick a leg spinner. Pakistan did yesterday, the Abdul Qadir clone. And he bowled particularly well early, something his first 4 overs costing only 3 runs. And finished up with the figures of 1 for 33. And if Adrian Tucker can do that for Australia, he will have certainly done his job and held his own. Australian fast bowlers seem to be having a few problems with the wind out there. It's not a very easy thing to do as a fast bowler. Bowl with a very blustery wind conditions. You can see the flags there and the trees in the background. In fact, those buildings are moving. That's how strong the wind is. So it's a difficult thing to do. You've got to get your line length right in one-day cricket. And it's the end of the 6th over. England are none for 17, and I would assume that from this sedate start and putting the pressure on the Australians, that England would now be looking for a score of around about 250. And if you get 250 and you have to chase 250 in one-day cricket, it's a very difficult thing to do. I think that the side batting second mentally can afford to chase 230, maybe 235. Once it starts getting over that, and certainly over the 250 mark, it's a very difficult thing to do as a mental preparation to the innings. One of the umpires officiating today, Daryl Harper from South Australia. He's had a couple of first-class games. And the other umpire Rick Evans from Western Australia, he's also a first-class umpire. I saw them both walking in with a dog, Labrador, today. Don't know if that was had anything significant to do with their umpiring ability, but both first-class umpires. I'm sure that many of these players will be in the first-class arena in the years to come.
As Holsworth continues operating from the River Torrens end, and just gathering from what you had to say there, David, you're not a great admirer of the men in white?
Oh, they've got a job to do, I suppose. I don't reckon you need them, Elbows.
Well,
you've got the honour system. If you nick it, you walk.
You've always been an honest bloke, and you'd always... I've seen you walk on many occasions, especially when you've caught plumb in front.
Yeah, one of those things you have to do. Yeah, good shot, and that's 4. No, brilliantly fielded down there at third man. And very interesting position here. The ball's hit very square, yet third man is very square. And he was able to cut that off. Normally the third man some 10 or 15 metres finer than that. Very good piece of captaincy there by Jeff Parker to have Darren Plough square at third man.
Shot, that's a lovely shot, and that'll go all the way down to the boundary for 4 runs. So all of a sudden, Mark Lane starting to open up.
The sign of a very good player. Faster bowler come on the back foot and hitting him through the covers off the back foot. A shot that you could count probably just a handful of test players could play that shot. And the more I play, the more if you see players do that, they've got that touch of class. Umpire's asking whether it carried or not. And Daryl Harper looking to Rick Evans at square leg. He was unsighted. Very good delivery and outside edge.
And this is that previous shot on replay. There's the edge, down it goes. Pretty difficult to see as Mark Lane's head was just in the road there from the other angle, and again difficult to tell, but quite obviously umpires, contrary to what a lot of people think, they don't cheat, they do their best, and in his opinion that Darren Berry did very well to get to that. So that's the end of the over. Ramprakash on 4, Elaine on 15 for sundries, and that's the completion of the 7th over with England none for 23. So they've exceeded their best opening partnership by some considerable number of runs, David, and they're starting to gather a fair amount of confidence about themselves, especially Mark Elaine, who in that over just crashed off 2 very nice 4s.
Yes, he's had a bit of luck, Elaine. He's been dropped by the wicketkeeper Berry, and one ball just fell short of the wicketkeeper. But mixed in with that has been some very good batting, some very aggressive shots, and England are well on the way to a total exceeding 200. So as we commence the 8th over, with that single taking England score to 24, the loss of no wickets, the change in commentary position. It's Ashley Mallett and Gordon Schwartz.
Thank you, David. So 0 for 24. England in pretty good shape. Wide. That's a wide, single to wide. Wasn't all that far outside off stick. Umpire Evans. Quickly onto it. So they've been pretty consistent, the umpires, in singling these wides. So another run to the England total. Very impressive start by England. Very good morning to Gordon Schwartz.
Thank you, Ashley. Talk about a good morning. It's a bracing morning, isn't it? Certainly different to the start yesterday. It was quite warm, quite pleasant. Today a little bit windy. Forecast maximum of about 20, and the flags on the Sir Edwin Smith stand are almost stiff. So yes, it's a strong breeze.
That's a better delivery. Bring the batsman forward. Ramprakash on 5. Elaine on 15. Yes, it's a very bracing morning, and a little bit like Manchester in July, except it's not raining.
Quite a cosmopolitan setup we have here with these 2 batsmen in, Elaine and his colleague. Well fielded. And the bowler, Mullally, who is from Western Australia, was born in England and is eligible to play for England. Incidentally, I think they're trying to persuade him to join Hampshire in county cricket.
Yes, well, he's a pretty impressive fast bowler, very tall, left-hander. Bowls that one angled away from the right-hander. Didn't get hold of that. It was short and perhaps a little bit too far up to play that full shot. Came on a bit quick. Ramprakash was trying to pull a ball that was a bit quick on him. Play that effectively enough, and they'll pick up 2 runs. So Ramprakash on 5, Elaine on 17. It's 0 for 27.
You can see some concern, not concern. I suppose we could be forgiven for not trying to work out where all these fellas are from. I was just having a look through them. Chris Lewis was born in Guyana. Mark Elaine is of Barbadian descent. Mark Ramprakash is of Pakistani descent. Nasser Hussain is the son of an Indian father and an English mother. And James Boyling was born in New Delhi. So that's part of the English side, or the England side.
Yes, well, there's a lot of Pakistanis living in Leeds these days, and I'm just wondering whether the all Yorkshire side will be made up of all Pakistani players in years to come. Of course, born in England, and usually to play for Yorkshire, you've got to be born in the Yorkshire area. It's Joe Scuderi coming in for his first over. Joe Scuderi hails from the North Queensland. He's a very good performer, both with bat and ball.
He was the destroyer on Sunday against England, taking 5 for 27. So Australia badly needs a breakthrough at this stage.
Yes, he bowls medium pace, very wiry character, very strong. He's got a bustling run up, and he's deceptively quick. Comes onto the bat a little bit quicker than often the batsman expects. Ramkanesh on 5. So Joe Scuderi. Here he is. This is his action. Nice easy run up. Runs in quite quickly. Gets into a pretty good side-on action. A little bit open. Bringing the batsman forward. Bringing the batsman forward again. And beating the outside edge by a whisker. And Ramkanesh can count his lucky stars there that he didn't get an edge. In fact, he was in no man's land there, neither back nor forward. He made the first movement back and then came forward onto the popping crease. So he lost ground and almost lost his wicket.
Flicks that one nicely down towards fine leg and through for a single. Just reverting to that match at Renmark on Sunday, Australia won by 60, 7 for 206 the Australian total. England in trouble at 7 for 58 and then finished up by making 146.
That's the end of a pretty good first up over from Joe Scuderi. It's none for 28 with Alain on 17 and Ramkanesh on 6. The batsman just having a mid-wicket conference. They really have started off in very good fashion, Gordon, and Australia desperately in need of a wicket.
Yes, they certainly do. Certainly a different start to the West Indies yesterday morning. 3.1 the average, or the run rate at this stage. So it's pretty good after 9 overs. Alain on 17, Ramprakash on 6. He's been the dormant partner, 30 balls faced. Alain 17 off 27. Have you sorted that out? Is it Mullally? Have you got that right now? Have we got it right? Mullally, is that it?
Yes, well, we've got Michael Collins here, the left-arm orthodox spinner from the Australian side. And he said it's Mullally. Well, that's my interpretation of it. It's a bit of a tongue twister. And he's coming in now to bowl. It's in the air, but safe. And it could go out to 4. In fact, it will. So that was a bit of a agricultural hoik. Got away with it. He's really been struggling to score, Ramkanesh. Been there for a long time. He's now in double figures.
Just getting back to Mullally, his club side, South Perth, one of the players there with him is the Hampshire professional Robin Smith. And it's Smith who's endeavouring to entice him to play with Hampshire, hoping that they'll give him a contract for the forthcoming season.
He's a pretty good player, Robin Smith. Yes, well, that'd be a very good experience for him, but I'm sure everyone in Australia would hope that he's put his target on playing for Australia, not England.
Yeah, that's right. He was born in Essex, so as we said right at the outset, I suppose that makes him eligible to play for England, although he's playing for Australia at the moment.
Wide outside off stump, got the edge, and he's out. So Malali has picked up the first wicket. Ramkanesh going for a wide one, got the edge, and Ramkanesh is out, caught behind. For 10, it's 1 for 32. This is how it happened.
Well wide. Could have let it go, of course, but just got the faintest touch. And Berry, the competent wicketkeeper, comes from Wonthaggi, I think. No, I'm not sure. Comes from Victoria. And he did the rest. So a breakthrough for Australia. 32 in the 10th over at the moment. Ram Prakash out for 10 off 34 deliveries.
And that's just what the doctor ordered for Australia. So England had got away to a pretty good start. So Ramkanesh did a pretty good job. He tended to... well, he seemed as though he lost concentration earlier that over. He had a slog and got away with it, hitting it over mid-on for 4. And then he went for that wide one outside off stump. Pretty good bowling from Malali. Angling it wide outside off stump. Had he let it go, it would have been called a wide. But Ramkanesh went for it, got the edge, and through to Berry. Looks like the skipper, Michael Atherton.
Fairly competent batsman from all accounts, Ashley. He made his debut last year for Cambridge University in county cricket and then played for Lancashire.
He's a nice young fellow. I met him yesterday afternoon. Quietly confident.
Good stroke maker.
So there's Malali to Atherton. And a perfect forward defence. Still operating with a slip and a gully. A cordon of men on the offside. The mid-on is fairly wide. So Malali would be doing his own fielding on anything hit straight back down the wicket, certainly on the onside. That's Malali to Atherton. Angle away, that could be a wide. It is. So angling the ball away from the right-hander, hoping that he might do a Ramkanesh and go for it. But Atherton wisely let it go, and one more to the England total.
It was really wide, that one. He started the attack with a wide this morning, or his first delivery. The one with which he got the wicket was a little bit wide too, but if you get a wicket, it doesn't really matter so much.
So the end of a successful over from Malali. 5 overs, 1 for 12. It's 1 for 33.
10 overs, 33. So stroke rate at the moment, 3.3. Which is a good start. This is Atherton, the skipper. Lancashire, as we mentioned just now, a right-hander, 168. His highest score, 80 against India, averaging 24. Good shot of him, the Lancashire batsman, the captain of this side. Not a particularly big backlift with Alain, is there? He just sort of jabs a lot of the shots, gets his foot across to them.
Yes, he looks a wristy sort of a player. Have another look at him.
Have a look at him again. Well, that one he did.
It's the forearm jolt.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So perhaps gives it the
a lot of them. Yeah,
a lot
he
of
just
bottom
sort
hand.
of pushes at them.
Gave it a little bit more of a flourish there.
Yes, there was. But even then, it doesn't go very high. Not a very high backlift.
No. Scuderi. That was the jolt again. Out to backward point. So the Australian fielding will be a lot sharper now. They've had some success, picked up a wicket. 1 for 33. And another wicket here would certainly slow the run rate. It's always the best way to slow the run rate. Pick up a couple of wickets. Always takes the new batsman a few overs to settle in.
Holsworth in camera range, the opening bowler that you saw just now, camera shot.
Joe Scuderi walking back to his mark.
Mullally, the tall left-arm bowler from Western Australia.
Jeff Parker, the skipper.
The opening batsman.
It's 1 for 35.
The scoreboard, Lane 17 and the skipper yet to break through. Berry, the Australian keeper, as I mentioned, comes from Victoria, comes from Wonthaggi. There he is, in shot. Probably a pretty handy gloveman. Armstrong is the man with the nose covered up for the sun. Not too much sun today. It's quick single, just turns it down backward of square leg and through for a single to get off the mark.
Here's Wonthaggi, is in the southeast of Victoria.
It's not off the mark, it was a leg by, sorry. The umpire and I differed on that one.
Well, he didn't have the benefit of replay. It's a good delivery, bringing the lane forward and just curving in towards the right-hander. It's a good delivery, that.
It's right on it.
Must have very strong wrists because to get a great deal of power, because there's not much backlift at all with him. A couple that he took off his hip too, he just, without any flourish at all, just timed the ball, allowed it to come onto the bat and just glided it away.
There's certainly not a lot of backlift. Mark Lane, 19 of 35 deliveries.
Mullally again. That's the Australian skipper, appreciates that one. Parker, who has been accepted or a scholarship winner to the Cricket Academy, is an Essendon footballer, has played Sheffield Shield cricket for Victoria, but under the regulations here, cricket becomes first, and consequently he has had to give up thoughts of playing football this year. West Torrens were after his services here in the South Australian League.
Sponsored by Wrigley's. Another good Malali over. He's bowled now 6 overs, 1 for 12. It's 1 for 36 of 12 overs. So the Australians have fought back pretty well. England got away to a pretty quick fire start, and now it's just 3 and over. So they've pegged them back pretty well. Holdsworth 4 overs for 18. Malali 6 overs, 1 for 12. And Scuderi, Joe Scuderi, has bowled just 2 overs for 3 runs. Well,
you need to pull over today, don't you?
As I said, Manchester in July, but there's no rain. That's the only difference. It is quite cool and overcast. So the English fellows will feel at home. Almost a mix-up there. It's Atherton keen to get off the mark. Lane wisely sent him back.
Scuderi's put the brakes on. It's in his 3rd over, conceded 3 runs so far. Just use the pads.
It's a good job that wasn't seaming back. Let that one go. It wasn't all that far outside off stump, but the ball wasn't moving back in towards the right-hander. Not to any great extent anyway.
Shots like that contributed to the downfall of Michael Haseman, didn't they?
Certainly did this year, yes. Oh, that's a good delivery. That did move away. Might have taken the pad there. Let's have a look at that again. In fact, it went in between bat and pad. Just touched the pad, so that was a near thing. Pretty well bowled. Confident appeal. The umpire wasn't all that keen on it. He just walked away.
He wasn't, not at all interested.
I suppose you don't have to say no, do you? You just you walk away.
Don't even have to shake your head.
Wasn't all that far away.
That was pretty close.
It was very close.
It was certainly warranted a shot.
That did cut back and hit him just above the roll of the pad.
This is a good over so far.
He's off the mark this time. And they'll just get the 1. Brett Williams doing the fielding. So a very good piece of bowling by Joe Scuderi. He's getting the ball to just hold its own or cut back into the right-hander. Michael Atherton, the England captain, off the mark. The lane forward. Driving. It's a good shot. This could go for 4. In fact, it does. So 4 runs, a boundary to Alain. Takes him into the 20s. And it's the first boundary of Joe Scuderi. This is how it happened.
I was saying how he'd put the brakes on and what a great over it was, and all of a sudden it finishes with a boundary by or from Alain. He goes to 23. Atherton's off the mark, or came off the mark in this over, 1 for 41.
So Alain on 23, Atherton on 1. Just broken the shackles a bit there. That boundary. This breaks things up a bit. The Australians had fought back extremely well, bowled very tightly in the last 4 or 5 overs. Picked up that wicket of Ram Cash out for 10 and score at 32. So it's up to Malali to get bang on line and to bowl a very tight over here. Australia back in business. The current run rate for England is 3.2. So it's still a pretty good run rate. This stage of proceedings. The West Indies really fell into a hole yesterday, the first semi-final, when they scored just 37 in the first 20 overs, whereas the Pakistanis got away to a tremendous start, 93 off the first 20 overs. That was the difference. Even though the West Indies went pretty close to snatching victory, they really did struggle to stay in the match after scoring just 37 in the first 20 overs. So it's very important to get away to a pretty good start. Malali, 6.2 overs, 1 for 12. That's a good effort.
Coming in, he's bowling from the northern or scoreboard end here at the Adelaide Oval. A little bit wide, and the skipper, Atherton, has nothing to do with it at all. A wide. I suppose it was touch and go, that one.
Well, they've been pretty consistent with those wides, and yeah, I thought that was fair enough.
Yes, yes. Having had a look at it a second time, I'd go along with you. Just harking back to Parker, he's one of the few that scored centuries in the lead up to the semi-finals. Weren't too many hundreds, but he got 103, I think it was. Just a pause for a moment. Against the combined side, that was the ICC Associates. It's Parker and shot there at the moment.
Yes, he played a couple of Shield games for Victoria when he was about 17 years of age.
I think he's got the... he plays for Richmond in the Victorian grade competition. I think they're in the semis anyway, so he's got that coming up shortly.
He's also a pretty useful medium-pace bowler. May not be required in this particular attack, although he may bowl a few overs. This is Holdsworth, Malali, Scuderi, Adrian Tucker, the leg spinner. I'll be looking forward to watching him bowl. So leg spinners yesterday impressed, didn't they, Gordon?
Yes,
both,
they did.
Both
yes.
of them. Mushtaq, the Abdul Qadir lookalike, and also Danridge.
Yes, he almost swung the game for the West Indies towards the finish.
Yes, he did. He bowled very well, although the West Indians, had they attacked a little bit more right at the death, they might have snatched victory. Was not to be.
.2 the run rate at the moment. England along to 1 for 43. We're in the 14th over. Sun breaks through.
Over.
End of the 7th over. Malali, who got the only wicket. Ramprakash caught the keeper Berry for 10. 34 balls he faced. Elaine has now faced 40 balls for his 23. Atherton, a very watchful start. 16 balls for his solitary run.
Yes, he's going to have to up the tempo somewhat. People soaking up. A little bit of sun now, shining through. It's getting to be a pleasant day here, Gordon, with before it was very much overcast and gloomy, but now with the sun through, the ground bathed in sunshine.
Yes, so some of the clouds, or similar clouds to those that covered the ground late in the afternoon yesterday, when it became very gloomy. Very gloomy at that stage too, at one stage for Pakistan, when they slumped temporarily straight through to the keeper. That's Berry, the keeper from the country, Victorian Country District. In his 4th over, none for 8. Maintained a pretty good line and length.
Yes, he had one boundary hit off his bowling. Last ball of his previous over. Lane thumping through mid-off. Apart from that delivery, he's bowled extremely well, and that was no exception. Beating the outside edge. Atherton has been very tentative, and he was a bit late on that one, beaten for pace. And his footwork is across rather than, well, right forward or right back. He's just going across the crease. Just a sign of a pretty nervous player. It's a more positive shot. Again, he's not all that far forward. He's only a few millimetres outside the popping crease.
He's had a fair bit of experience. This is Atherton I'm talking about in county cricket, as I mentioned earlier. And in his debut for Lancashire last year, he got 53. So, okay, that's a fair standard of cricket. So, obviously, he is trying to build an innings here.
Gee, that was a good delivery.
It was.
Just short of a driving length, and kicked a bit.
Got up pretty quickly, didn't it?
And cut away. And in the end, it was very well played. This fellow, Atherton, could be a candidate for LBW. He's shuffling across the crease.
Took that one nicely off his toes. He's studying at Cambridge University, studying for history, I believe. So I suppose that takes a lot of his time, really.
Yes, well, this is a very historical game. The Bicentennial Youth Cup second semi-final. It's a very historical day for Australia in this inaugural World Youth Cup. And there's the cathedral, St. Peter's Cathedral, the city of churches and chapels and crumbling wickets. Well, there's nothing wrong with this wicket. It's a beautiful batting strip.
Not too many chapels left here in South Australia now, either.
There'll probably be one coming in tomorrow for the McDonald's Cup match. But they won't be playing, of course.
That one was fairly wide, too, of Mullally's.
Yes, he's trying to...
Tended to bowl well outside that off stump, hasn't he?
He's trying to lure the batsman into an indiscretion outside off stump, angling the ball away from the right-hander. It worked once. He's also incurred the wrath of umpire Evans when he has bowled wide outside off stick. Umpire Evans has called them, quite rightly. The ball that Ram Krinesh was out on, caught behind, umpire Rick Evans from the state of Western Australia. It was a very wide delivery. Ram Krinesh went for it, got the edge through to Berry.
And for Penneth here, comes down to the boundary at the southern end. It's just going to trickle over the line. Just beats the fieldsman by an inch. A lane. There it is. Just wide of Armstrong. Don't know whether it hit his arm. And through for 4 to Elaine, 27. He's an interesting character. His background, I mean, his history. This is the fellow in shot at the moment. Born in England in 1968, but went to the Barbados to live when he was 4, and then came back to England when he was 15, and he's lived there ever since.
Oh, that could have been a catch. Adrian Tucker there at backward point. Looked as though it went very quickly to him and low to his right. Let's have a look at it. Mullally. Elaine hitting it away. It would have been a tremendous catch. It only cost 1 run, but...
just a little bit wide of Tucker. Might have damaged his finger momentarily. He's living dangerously on some of those deliveries outside the... or wide outside the off stump.
Yes, well, both batsmen are struggling a little bit. Elaine looks the more positive of the two. The captain, the England captain, Michael Atherton, has struggled. He's having problems with his footwork. He's shuffling across the crease.
Played that one nicely off his legs. Got well inside it. Only down for a single.
Just the longer he can occupy the crease, the more his confidence will grow. England 1 for 49. 16 overs. So England in pretty good shape after losing that 1 wicket. Ram Kranesh going caught behind by Berry. The bowling of Mullally for 10. That was when the score was 32. It's now 1 for 49.
Change in commentary. Joining us now, Greg Rees and South Australian skipper David Hooks.
And changes all round as the Australian captain Jeff Parker will come on to bowl from the River Torrens end. He'll be bowling to the England skipper Atherton. Good morning, David Hooks.
Good morning, Greg. And Jeff Parker, a very good player, a prolific scorer in underage cricket. He's played a few games for Victoria, hasn't quite scored or played as well as his potential aspires. And of course, he's been allocated a scholarship here in Adelaide at the Institute of Sport. And as an Essendon footballer, he was signed in Adelaide by West Torrens. But unfortunately, the contract of the Institute of Sport precludes him from playing any other sport, certainly a contact sport like football, so it's West Torrens' loss. Fielded there by South Australian Lachlan Ferguson. Don't look that good in that hat, really, Lockie. Plays for the University Club after playing for Sturt. His father's a prominent solicitor in town, nicknamed Lord Long Lunch. And Lachlan hasn't probably had the season in grade cricket that one would have expected. In fact, University played on this ground only 3 weeks ago in their first final. It was a one-day knockout competition, the West End Cup, and lost the game, unfortunately.
Australians have been very sharp in the field this morning, and Ferguson maintaining the standard here. As Atherton launched into that one. Look, had 4 written all over it, but Ferguson was equal to the task in the covers. Four runs to Atherton.
We've now seen both Allain and Atherton play that shot off the back foot, and we mentioned it before, the sign of a class player, and he missed the 4 brilliantly fielded by Ferguson the ball before, but made amends the next ball. So after 17 overs, England are 1 for 53, and that's their batting card. The only wicket to fall. Ram Prakash caught behind off Mullally for 10 off 34 balls. Allain, who's been a little bit subdued in the last half an hour or so, 28 off 44, but setting up the springboard for England. And Atherton, the England captain, 30 balls for just 6.
Alan Mullally obviously going to bowl right out. England setting a fair pace here with a run rate of 3.11, which is pretty good going in the 18th over.
It appears that Mullally's going to be bowled out, which is not a bad ploy. It gets rid of one of your bowlers. And I've always found that left-handers coming on to bowl at the end of a one-day game or a limited overs fixture can be very expensive. Very similar to right-arm bowlers who bowl outswingers. The tailenders tend to put their foot down the pitch and swing. The angle of the ball takes it anywhere. And I've always, for that reason, felt that Dennis Lillee wasn't as good a one-day bowler as somebody like Garner or Andy Roberts, who tend to do squirt into the right-handers' pads. And that's a pretty fair choice by Jeff Parker to bowl Mullally out. And I would think that after his over, the leg spinner Tucker would come on to bowl. The Adelaide Oval scoreboard, Australian bowlers used so far. Holdsworth, 4 overs for 18, and no doubt he'll come back and bowl at the end of the innings in happy hour. Mullally bowling his 9th over, the only wicket taker, 1 for 19. Scuderi, 4 overs for 8, and Tucker 1 over for 4. I beg your pardon, that is not Tucker, it should be Parker. In fact, that's Parker, who's got 1 over 4. Tucker is a leg spinner who will possibly come on after Mullally's completed his mandatory 10 overs. Jeff Parker, the Australian captain.
Defensive shot from Alain at the end of the over. England are now 1 for 53. Test of the concentration for the England batsmen. One of their countrymen warming up for tonight's concert at Memorial Drive, one George Michael. The activity on the what is normally the centre court at Memorial Drive. They're doing what's laughingly called a sound check.
It's not an easy thing to put up with. You've either got George Michael or Pink Floyd or Jimmy Barnes or somebody throughout the season warming up there. And of course, at the other end of the ground, the cathedral, if you have a church or Sunday mornings, you have those damn bells that go on. They emanate from somewhere in there. The Notre Dame bloke stands in there. It's a very good shot off the back foot once again by Atherton. Just 2 runs this time. Takes him to 8 and England to 55. And in fact, one morning just recently, Greg, I was out there batting and the bells start on the Sunday morning. I went to the umpire, Tony Craft, and I said, I suppose we've got to put up with these things for another hour or so. He said, no, today it's 6 hours because that was the day that Bishop Tutu was here. So for the entire duration of the cricket day's play, we had Tutu and his bells.
That's a glorious shot. Square of the wicket on the offside. And the England captain enjoying this, George Michael or no George Michael.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to do against your opposite number, the Australian captain, hitting for 4. And we mentioned earlier in the commentary that very dangerous ploy to have your medium paces and your leg spinner coming on if wickets haven't fallen. And that's the comfortable position that England find themselves in. And that's a very good shot straight down the ground for another comfortable 2. Alain was a bit slow in going, but will only take the single. Holdsworth chasing that ball and coming back. It'll be a straight drive back past. You see Alain unable to go until he realised the ball was clear. Consequently, just 1 chased by Holdsworth. In fact, I've found that one of the more successful ploys in one-day cricket is to bowl your best 2 bowlers in the middle of the innings, between overs 20 and 40. And that way you tend to put the brakes on the period where players get hit. I think we all agree that the last 10 overs, anybody can get hit, whether they're great bowlers or just medium pacers. But I've found that between 20 to 40, if you can bowl those 20 overs for something like 60 runs at a period where the batting side are trying to get on with it, you really do put pressure on the opposing side.
Good shot for no run from Elaine. That's the end of Parker's over. England 1 for 60, and they'll take drinks.
Skyrock comes to your screens each night with the latest in local and international music videos, plus video profiles and in-concert specials on major artists from home and abroad. We'll have information on concert and tour dates and general entertainment news. Be watching Skyrock for the national top 10, rock classics and the Aussie top 5, together with previews of new releases and hit predictions. If it's happening in music, you'll see it on Skyrock, nightly on your satellite music station, Sky Channel.
One for 60 after 19 overs. England, pretty good start for them. Atherton has 12 from 34. Elaine, 28 from 52. The only wicket to fall today has been Ram Prakash, who went in the 10th over, bowled for 10. And right now we go to Peter Overton talking to Bob Simpson.
Thank you very much, Greg. Yes, I have the Australian coach and Australian selector Bob Simpson with me, who's been following the Youth Cup cricket for quite a few years, I believe, and certainly following the Australian boys. How do you think they're going, and any ones that stand out, Bob?
Well, I think they've got a lot of good cricketers here at present. They're playing on a wicket, which is very, very good. But I suppose I've been associated for the last couple of years, and you've got to, believe that there's talent here in Australia. There's no doubt about that. We've got the peak group out here at present, and when you see these youngsters who are good quality players, then you know the future of Australian cricket's in very sound hands.
Well, that's nice to hear coming from someone such as yourself. How about the Adelaide Oval? It's certainly a marvellous oval, and some great matches have been played here in the past, and I would imagine be a big occasion for a young cricketer stepping out onto this oval.
Yeah, it's got to be one of the great thrills for youngsters. I think when you look at Adelaide Oval now, it's probably the premier cricket ground in Australia. Certainly it's the best conditioned ground. The outfield's magnificent. Also, you've got a wonderful wicket, and the lads will find this one of their great experiences on this tour.
Well, there you have it. Bob Simpson, the Australian coach. Thank you very much for joining us. Play's about to resume in the second semi-final. It's back to our commentators.
Thank you, Peter. The left armour, Mullally, to continue from the Cathedral end. He'll be bowling to Michael Atherton, the England captain. Run rate 3.15.
Australia haven't been able to get the breakthroughs they would have liked, just the one wicket. And there's the bowling figures. Holdsworthy, none for 18. Mullally, 1 for 19. Scuderi, none for 8. And Parker just starting to prove expensive at a time when Australia should be attempting to put the brakes on and getting some wickets. None for 11 off just 12 deliveries. Not worthy of what?
Atherton on 13. I suppose you can call that the Devil's number 2, 87 short of 100.
Very good field placings at the moment by Parker. Jeff Parker is attempting to keep as many men in the circle for as long as he can. After the 15th over's been bowled, you only have to have a minimum of 4 players in the circle, but Jeff Parker's doing it right. He's got 7 in the circle. And of course, the longer you can keep more men in the circle, the harder it is for batsmen to get free singles. So Parker's got it pretty right at the moment. Perhaps what he may think of doing is he's got a man at backward point. The man up top left of your screen, he may well move him to a gully and move your third man around, because it stops the batsman from running the ball down to the third man area. Plus, poor old wicketkeeper's got nobody to talk to.
That's Australian keeper, Darren Berry. Done a pretty tidy job out there today, too. At the end of the over, and England won for 60. 20 overs.
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
1 for 60. At the beginning of the 21st over, bowled by the Australian captain Parker. Out there in the middle of the scoreboard, Mullally's completed his 10 overs. Very fine spell of bowling, just 19 runs, including the wicket of Ramprakash. So 10 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 19, and that's an excellent spell of bowling. Wouldn't see too many better spells of bowling than that. Just contemplating what more he could have done. I'll tell you what, Alan, you couldn't have done much more than that. That's that shot down third man, Rishi, that we were talking about. If you have your man at point finer and your third man a little bit squarer, then it's not quite so easy for the batsman to do that. There's such a big gap between the keeper and the man at point that the ball just has to run off the face of the bat.
Because of the structure of English cricket, David, I suppose these fellows out here on this tour have played a lot more limited overs cricket than the Australian guys.
Yes, they would have, and that would have shown out more if England batted second. I think that the English players tend to chase runs a lot better than Australians. They don't panic as much as we do, and they don't tend to hit the ball in the air as much. If they're chasing 5, 5.5 and over, they're quite content to push the ball through the gaps, whereas Australians tend to, if they miss scoring off the first couple, tend to try and look for a ball over the infield or a 4 or a 6. Yeah, the English players are much more sedate and they do it much more sensibly than what we do.
It's the end of Parker's over, only 1 from it. England 1 for 61. And the man to replace Mullally at the northern end will be the leg spinner Tucker.
Tucker's a leg spinner, but he bowls a little bit quicker through the air than most traditional leg spinners. And in fact, you'd nearly say he bowls little leg cutters. The pace of probably Chandrasekhar for those that can remember. Tiger O'Reilly for those even older. For those standing at the local TAB watching this. And very courageous move by Jeff Parker to bring Adrian Tucker on. But I guess when he's one of your 5 bowlers at some stage, you're going to have to bowl him. Pretty good field here for Tucker, although there's not a man on the offside as a sweeper. They've got 4 in the circle on the offside.
He does whiz them through, doesn't he?
there's the offside field, a deep mid-off, and 4 in the circle, saving 1. And that's the leg side field, the mid-wicket. Jeff Parker fielding at mid-wicket. Got a man at backward square leg, that's Mullally. And a man on the fence at mid-wicket. Very well run by Elaine, just placing the ball a little bit better than the previous delivery. Wide of Parker's right hand. Comfortable single. And there's the man, Lachlan Ferguson, at mid-wicket on the fence, in front of the members' stand. There's the 2 men in the circle, saving 1. There's a man at long on, saving the boundary. So a pretty good field for a quickish leg spinner. A lot of confidence in him by not having a man on the offside fence at point or cover.
The Englishman wouldn't have bumped into too many bowlers like this, David.
Leg spinners, unfortunately, are a dying art in most places, certainly in England. And they just can't afford them in county cricket in England. The pitches are slow. They don't get the amount of fast turn and extra bounce that we achieve in Australia. So the end of a very tidy over by Tommy Tucker. His first over, just a single off it. And at the end of the 22nd over, England are 1 for 62. So well on the way for a score of 220. The only batsman to be dismissed on the English batting card, Ram Prakash. Caught behind by the wicketkeeper Berry, bowled Mullally for 10. Elaine, who opened with him, 30. And Atherton, 13. There's some threat of rain around, Greg, and that makes Australia's position very, very good. The only way, the simplest way to win one-day cricket matches is to bowl first and let it rain for a while. The reason for that, of course, is that it comes down to a run rate situation. And if, for example, England bat for 200 overs and 50 overs and make 200, it's a run rate of 4 and over. A couple of leg byes there to England. And getting back to that equation, if it's 4 and over for 50 overs, it's a difficult target to chase. But if the rain affects the game so much that Australia only has to bat for 20 overs and therefore has to get just 80, it's a very easy target to achieve when you've got 10 wickets in hand. So it's an interesting decision for England to bat first after winning the toss if they thought there was going to be rain around.
Australian captain put the brakes on it a little bit. The run rate's dropped to 2.8. It's been a pretty interesting 24 hours in Adelaide. Had the car air conditioning on yesterday. You need a sheepskin jacket today.
People have said, Greg, that you are a wolf in sheep's clothing.
1 for 66. Elaine now has 31. His skipper is on 14. That's to the southwest of the ground, and you can see a few rain spots on the lens. So there is rain threatening. As David mentioned, that works in the favour of Australia.
Very important time for both sides now, nearly at the halfway mark. And the game tends to accelerate from here on in. And Australia have got a leg spinner and a medium pace bowler bowling. And I think that it's time that England took the bit between the teeth and started to take a few risks. Keeping the ball along the ground, though, hitting through the gaps, running quickly. Ball hitting it over the infield for 4. Very good shot by Atherton. And as we mentioned yesterday, when the Pakistani captain was out there, it's a good time for a captain to be out in the middle now. He can dictate what's going on. He can set the scene. He can show the responsibility he's been entrusted with. And it's a pretty good shot. Pitched on middle stump and swept it towards backward square leg for 4. Another good shot there. 1, Adelaide looking for 2. The man's very deep at long on. Well fielded. So you can see that England are starting to step up the pace now.
Mark Lane was born in England but went to the West Indies when he was about 4. Back in England now to pursue his cricket career. That was a bad ball from Tucker. Holsworth picking up, and 3 to the England total and 3 more to Elaine.
One of the problems that Jeff Parker's got when setting a field to a leg spinner is that he's got his man just behind square leg by the umpire. Nobody fine. And you can't set a field for bad bowling, so you can't blame Jeff Parker. You can't have men everywhere. So one of the problems that I would imagine Tucker faces, he's a very front-on leg spinner. And of course, if he lets the ball go too early, it goes short outside off stump. Too late, and it's full on leg stump. Great
4
shot.
runs to Elaine. Parker straying a little bit towards the pads. And 3 more. So the England players starting to up this run rate now. Just getting into his pads. He's very strong there, punching that through mid-wicket.
When batsmen start playing like this, the captain's got to make a decision. And it may well be crossing Jeff Parker's mind that if it goes on for too much longer like this, that Joe Scuderi gets a couple of overs. He's only bowled 4. He may be worth a couple at the moment. Great shot by Atherton. Classical cover drive and chopped off on the fence by Lachlan Ferguson. And Jeff Parker now showing the inexperience of a bowler in as much as he's been hit on the leg side and he's been hit on the offside in the 1 over, and you've got to at least bowl on one side of the pitch, one side of the stumps, to give yourself a chance in these types of games.
Moore, the man who attempted to cut off that glorious cover drive.
Liberty.
.79 for 1. And Atherton after more runs there. Take the 2. The return coming in from Armstrong.
Real problems here for Australia. The next hour is going to be quite critical. There's a real chance of the next 20 overs for Australia. This is the halfway mark. Could easily cost between 80 and 100 runs. And if that's the case, the game will start to slip away from the host nation. Once again, that problem being accentuated. So 2 scoring shots on the leg side and 2 scoring shots deep on the offside. So not a very good over there for Australia. At the end of the 25th over, the halfway mark, England 1 for 82.
I travel to work every day by train, so the Premier's decision to chop 25% off the price of my weekly ticket will save me over $200 a year.
New yearly train savings to the city. Save $150 from Parramatta, Sutherland, West Ryde or Hurstville. $218.40 from Campbelltown. $286 from Gosford. $317.20 from Katoomba. Plus 25% off weekly bus and ferry tickets. Barry Unsworth's guarantee. The Unsworth government, listening and acting. Authorised by B. Unsworth, Sydney for the Australian Labor Party.
Back here at the Adelaide Oval, it's 1 for 82. Tucker about to bowl the second ball of this over into the commentary position now. Ian Aitken and Gordon Schwartz.
Tucker, who doesn't give the ball a great deal of air. Leg spinner, he pushes the ball through. A little bit of air in the last over, but straight down the leg side, and Elaine picked up 3 runs from him. 1 for 83. Atherton on 25, Elaine on 37.
Yeah.
Quick single. Buys. Berry, the Australian keeper. Atherton took a long time to get into his stride. He was on, it took a long time to get off the mark. Was very watchful, but has started to produce strokes and certainly looks the part. Looks, as we know, he is a fairly competent county batsman in England.
Adrian Tucker just giving a fair amount of spin on the ball there, but he certainly doesn't give it a lot of air. Just operating from the northern end here at the Adelaide Oval. And Mark Elaine on 37. Total of 85. Just the single wicket has been lost. That was Ramprakash. Caught but the wicket for 10. Opening stand was 32. This time Tucker gives the ball a fair amount of air, but the umpire has judged that to be a wide. And Adrian Tucker can't believe that. He's working away on that ball there. Here he comes again. England
Over.
Attempting to get on with the job. That's the end of the over. 26th over for Australia, playing against England, who are 1 for 86. And the England scorecard at the moment reads just this way. Ramprakash caught Berry, caught Mullally for 10, and Elaine on 37 and Atherton on 26. The wicket fell at 34. That was the only one, and we're into the 26th over, and one would suspect, Gordon Schwartz, that perhaps not quite enough at this particular stage, though. A 3.31 run rate with 24 overs to go. They've got to build on that.
Well, it's a pretty handy position to be in, isn't it, Ian? The way they're going, 3.3, halfway through the innings. Yes, a score of the way things are going, 220, 230, and going back through the scores in the knockout competition, that's a pretty respectable total. This one's going to square leg. They'll get probably 3 out of this. Armstrong coming around to pick it up. Long-haired, blonde Armstrong, who was in the slips. Down near the fence, picked it up. So 3 more to Atherton, goes along to 29. The total to 89.
Yes, and this is the young man that just did the fielding, young Armstrong for Australia. Huntley Armstrong, and he's a pretty solid fellow. Would need to lose a little bit of weight, one would think, in the future as Mark Elaine gets further runs here. He's a real prodder and steer of the ball is Mark Elaine, but he's done it very, very well. He's on 38 at the moment, and England just 10 runs off a century.
You're right. He can hit the ball, but he's a grafter. And he's grafted well for England here today. 38, very valuable, blunted the attack. Almost a full toss by Parker, the Australian skipper. He's been a little bit, well, when I say a little bit, more expensive than any of the other bowlers in his 6th over and has conceded 26 runs. This is the Australian skipper.
And it's well pitched up on that particular case,
yes.
right up in the block hole, and
moved that one about in the air a bit.
Yes, he did, just wobbled a little. This is the upright stance by Michael Atherton. Goes after that. I like this fellow, Atherton. He's a very tall player. Seems to have plenty of time to play his shots. In position quickly. 66 balls. He was very slow to start, but he's looking good now. He's having a good smile and feels pretty confident at the moment.
This is captain to captain. Parker to Atherton. Gone.
Yes, he virtually walked then, did the England captain. He got an outside edge, did Michael Atherton, and so that's the 2nd English wicket to fall. Atherton was dismissed 29, caught at the wicket by the Australian wicket-keeper Darren Berry and Gordon Schwartz. This is how it happened.
Could not have come at a more opportune time for Australia's sake, and well taken. Comparatively easy as catches go. They're never easy, but Berry judged it well, and as Ian Aitken mentioned, the England skipper walked as soon as the ball left the bat. Had no real need to prod at it, did you think, Ian?
Well, it left him a little bit there, as you can see. It just cut away a little bit, and his left foot wasn't over exactly in position to play that shot. The bat and the leg were a little apart, and so that was the end of Atherton. And now Nasser Hussain comes into the attack for England. And so Nasser Hussain, of course, there's no doubt about it. I don't know what Ashley Mallett will nickname him, so I won't take that away from Ashley.
I bet he will. He's born of an Indian father and an English mother.
Yes, and that was the cutaway, Gordon. Just left him a little bit, and the Darren Berry takes his 2nd catch for the match, so he's figured in both of those. That's the Australian wicket-keeper. I've been impressed with this young man, Darren Berry. He looks very neat and clean and tidy. Good glove work. Good relaxed position. Tucker, the leg spinner, continues to bowl. He doesn't give it too much air, does Tucker. But he's only a young man, and possibly the cream of future cream of Australian cricket. It's on display here, and you're seeing it all on Sky Channel.
Hussain, incidentally, is a professional with the Essex County Cricket Club, so he too must be quite an accomplished player. Full toss, not able to take full toll of it. Elaine on 38. He opened the innings with Prakash, who made 10. Oh, he got that one through. A little bit lucky, perhaps. Lofted it. Won't quite make the boundary, and they'll run 3. 3 more to the England opener. Goes along to 41. There was one occasion when he certainly opened his shoulders. It turned, stood up beautifully, pitched outside the off stump, going well away, and he took full toll of it. Hussain to take or to face his first delivery.
Yes, he's born of an Indian father, an English mother, as young Nasser Hussain, as he waits forward to... over. That's the end of the over. And Nasser Hussain, 2 for 93 in the 27th over, England. And Nasser Hussain, as I said, of Indian parentage. His father plays for Essex. There's a lot of these English lads do play for the county. And 272 runs. Highest score was against the ICC when he made 68. A good average of just under 40, 38.9. But we're back with Parker now as he bowls to Elaine. Elaine down the track and goes for that. That's good stuff. And Holsworth, the Australian opening bowler, will do the fielding here. Not the best of returns to his captain, Parker. But England now starting to put together their runs. They're 2 for 95. Elaine on 43, just 7 away from a half a century.
.44 the run rate at this stage. Pretty handy with only 27 overs gone. We're into the 28th at the moment. Certainly a different ball game than last Sunday when they played at Renmark, and England at one stage was 7 for 58. Parker strays down the leg side on that occasion. Nicely taken by Berry. Australian skipper from Victoria.
I just told you that we're in the 28th over. In actual fact, we're in the 29th as Mark Elaine celebrates that. Thumps it just forward a point, and he has a very short backlift as Mark Elaine and plays very close. That's Lachlan Ferguson from South Australia. Of course, a son of Keg Ferguson, who played for Sturt. Leading solicitor here in South Australia.
Ferguson has a great arm. Some of his returns from the outfield this morning have been outstanding. Parker, who has played for Victoria and has also played league football for Essendon, in his 8th over at the moment. That's close. Perhaps just going down the leg side.
Yes, Jeff Parker, he's working away. Have a look at that again, and you're quite right, Gordon. Down the leg side, it would have missed the leg stump. But it's worth a shout, and any good bowler should make certain that he yells out, asks the question. They thought about a run, but it wasn't there, so that's the end of that particular over at 2 for 96 as we take a break on Sky Channel.
It's a good time for laying back a little. This day was made for you. Good times are what you make them, and there's only one great taste for you. Great taste, good and hot. The best ingredients, good and fresh. Put them all together and what have you got? You've got McDonald's, good and hot. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval in the McDonald's Bicentennial Youth World Championships. And England currently enjoy a 3.31 run rate after 29 overs. They have lost 2 wickets in their pursuit, or not in their pursuit, as it'll be Australia to go after them after the dismissal of England. But we're back now with Tucker, the leg spin bowler for Australia.
Fieldsman there was Law, who's probably been Australia's most successful batsman in this series. Batted particularly well. Incidentally, just talking about the League of Nations, and that's what this England team's all about. The next batsman in is Chris Lewis, who was born in Guyana. So we'll get an England-born member of this side pretty soon.
Stuart Law, the vice-captain of Australia, runs here to Nasser Hassan. He gets off the mark now. He'll take 2, and they may think about the 3rd, but it would have been terribly dangerous if they had of, as the fielding was tidied up there by Mullally, the big opening bowler who's had his 10 overs for Australia. He's got 10 overs and 1 for 19. Very economical bowling. He's a big, tall boy.
One little sidelight from Mullally. He playing in grade cricket for Western Australia this year. Got a ball to lift. An appeal, but a little bit hopeful, I think. End of the over from the leg spinner, and it's 2 for 99.
Yes, and of course England needed a good start, and they haven't enjoyed such a particularly good start in this McDonald Cup competition. But the first one to fall was the Ramprakash. He got an edge and was grabbed by Berry. So Mullally struck. Ramprakash was 10, and the score was 34. And that was the best start that England have enjoyed in this McDonald's Youth Cup World Championship. And the second wicket to fall was that of their captain. The English captain was Michael Atherton. And again, the wicketkeeper, this young man, Berry, was involved in this. Scuderia was the bowler. Parker, I beg your pardon, was the bowler, and caught behind from Berry. So he's figured in both of those dismissals.
Well fielded by Holsworth. Full toss by Parker. Elaine drove. One of the few occasions that we've seen him play a really aggressive shot, but it was nicely cut off by Holsworth, the opening bowler for Australia. Parker again. Obviously, smart movement by the Australian. Quick bowler.
It's very interesting to study Elaine's technique, Gordon. He seems to cramp himself a fair amount, and a lot's got to do with the fact that he's got this short back lift, and he plays his bat very, very close to his legs. And of course, it's a very good defensive action. Just have a look at this as Parker comes to him. See that short back lift, but there's runs here as it goes past Holsworth, and Scuderia will be to do the tidying up for Australia.
It was almost a replica of a replay that we had just now of Holsworth. The only difference was, let's have a look at this action. As I mentioned earlier, his wrists are strong. Not much back lift, and he picked up 3 runs. The ball just bounced awkwardly for Holsworth. He threw himself at it on the ground, but couldn't cut it off. Hussain, a bit hard to drive. It was right up almost into the block hole. Elaine's 48. He deserves his half-century. He's batted particularly well. A gritty innings for England. They certainly needed a good start. I think their best, I believe their best opening partnership so far has been about 14, or was 14.
Yes, so they built on this, and this is a well-judged run here. Hussain. And that's the end of the over with Hussain on 3, Elaine on 48. So currently England are 2 for 103. And that's the young Hussain, and that's the English card.
There it is. Ramprakash out for 10. Atherton out for 29. Not out batsman Elaine 49. He's faced 83 deliveries. Hussain 2, and he's faced 8. Fairly consistent in their each 10 overs. 33 off the first, 10 was 60 off the second. Run rate now 3.32 as Tucker comes into the attack again. Tucker, who has none for 18 at this stage, and after 30 overs, 103.
Yes, and that's the first ball that Tucker has really given plenty of air to. He's bowling into a south-southwesterly. It runs here. That's a very good shot. That'll go all the way down to the ground, down to the boundary for 4 runs. And I like already this young man, Nasser Hussain, has shown enough to prove to me that he is a very fine batsman.
Well, they got Hussain out for 7 at Renmark on Sunday. Elaine made a duck, so I've got to get rid of one of these two very quickly, Ian, because England are building a respectable total.
Yes, that was a bit short. Hussain just prodded at that. Goes down to Holsworth. Holsworth, who opened the bowling with Mullally. Holsworth has had just the 4 overs so far, so they didn't. Jeff Parker didn't bowl him out. He's got 6 more overs to go. Runs here. That was very short and gave Hussain plenty of room to move in that. But just a single.
A little bit erratic with his bowling just at the moment. He doesn't give the ball a great deal of air, but a few of these. This is the return by Ferguson. Came off the hands of the bowler, and it's another run to Alain. Takes him to 49. 83 deliveries, 49. Tucker in his 6th over. Quick single. Ball goes out to Law, Australian batsman. Scoreboard with 2 wickets having fallen. 110.
So the Australian bowling, the 5 bowlers used so far. Holdsworth, 4 overs, no maidens, none for 18. Mullally, 10 overs, 5 maidens. He's bowled his full spell, 1 for 19. Joe Scuderi, 4 overs, none for 8 with 1 maiden. And Jeff Parker, the captain, the Australian captain, 8 overs, 1 for 33. And the leg spinner, the Australian leg spinner, Tucker, 6 overs, none for 25.
Yes, Parker and Tucker have, well, been comparatively expensive. Those two have conceded more than the first 3 bowlers that were used. And of 3.55 it's up to at this stage after 32 overs. Are certainly well placed, Ian.
Yes, they are, Gordon, and with 18 overs to go, if they maintain that run score, that average, they'll be up over the 200. As in comes Parker, over-pitched. Hussain didn't get hold of that one. Conditions here at the Adelaide Oval have improved somewhat since the start of the day. The breeze, the wind, it's not a breeze, it's a wind, and it's coming from the southwest. Mostly all the, in fact, 10 of the Australian fieldsmen have got short sleeve Guernseys on as runs come here. Forward of square leg as Mullally does the fielding.
I was saying about Mullally earlier in a grade game in Perth this year, a short one, short delivery, hit a tail ender, hit him in the head, and he was fighting for his life for some time. Most unfortunate accident that happened, and naturally would have affected this young man as well. It was Mullally I'm talking about. This is Parker bowling. Up in the air, but safe. It's for Pennant.
Yes, no slip. Of course, that's been dispersed now. And all the way down to the ground. So for Australia to play go into the final, they have to get a couple of wickets. Pakistan won yesterday when they beat West Indies, so they automatically go through into the final on Sunday, and the winner of this game between England and Australia will contest that Youth World McDonald Youth World Championship.
This fellow looks very impressive. He's prepared to open his shoulders, drive the ball. Quite a fluent batsman. Yes, a little bit ironical from Australia's point of view. They won the first 6 games. They were the only unbeaten side. They lost to Pakistan in the last, I'll call it the minor round match. And here they are. They're fighting in the semi-final, in the next match in which they are competing. Parker, the Australian skipper, over tosses that one, pays the penalty for Pennant. Goes straight down to the fence, the southern end of the ground. And there's the half century to Alain. A very valuable knock too.
Yes, it certainly is a good knock there from Mark Alain. And he really has played very, very well as they congratulate one another. Alain and Nasser Hussain. That's a mouthful and a half, isn't it? In the 33rd over. But well done, Mark Alain. That's 53. And this is how he brought up his 50. It was over-pitched. He got it with that short back lift. He's got, as Gordon Schwartz told you, strong wrists for a young man. And he's thumped it down straight through the off area, the mid-off area. So Mark Alain, 53 runs, not out at the moment, just 84 balls. So he hasn't mucked around in the latter part of his innings up to this point in time.
Leg spinner again, and more runs. Sweeps it down nicely towards the boundary, and it'll just trickle over and beat the Australian quickie, Mullally, and another boundary.
Yes, so, sorry, Gordon, he'd need to, young Tucker would need to keep it off Hussain's leg stump. He's showed a willingness to sweep. And he scored a good number of runs down in that area.
Yes, the run rate up to 3.7, 3.66 at the moment. 33 overs. They've come pretty quickly off these two bowlers, Parker and Tucker.
So Adrian Tucker, just a little field adjustment there. And perhaps a little bit of fear creeping into the hearts of the young Australians.
And conversely, a lot of confidence coming into the heart of the Englishman.
Yes, and it's a good knock that Hussain is contributing at the moment. He hasn't been there terribly long, and he's compiled 20 runs. So the middle order of England, as we well knew, is strong. And they got off to a good start in comparison to their previous starts, which was 14. And I'm talking about Ramprakash and Elaine. Of course, a very famous name, Hussain. Nasser Hussain, and I'm sure a lot of little anecdotes will come out from various people connected with this telecast.
I suppose Ashley Mallett would nickname him King, wouldn't he?
Well, probably Ashley would, but I wouldn't. But there's the ball thumped into the off area, and Hussain, king or not, gets a single.
The next batsman, as I said, is Lewis, and in the England total of 146 against Australia on Sunday, Lewis got 66 of them, so it doesn't augur well for Australia either. Oh, that was nicely deflected by Elaine. Just allowed it to drift to the last moment and then turn. Just put his bat on it. No flourish at all. 2 more runs to the opener.
So that's the end of the over. England 2 for 128 as we pause for a break. That's the England scorecard. Ramprakash dismissed for 10, Atherton dismissed for 29, and I was very impressed with Michael Atherton, the England captain. And this man I'm impressed with too. He has a great willingness to throw the bat at the ball. Nasser Hussain, he's got 2, and they'll go through for the 3rd.
When you say throw it, Ian, it's not reckless, is it? It's controlled hitting by Hussain.
Yes, controlled aggression probably, Gordon, as you see here in replay. Big back lift, but right in the middle of the bat was the ball. And but back now with Parker, who's bowling his 10th over. Just swats that down, dabs that down in the gully area. As you can see, he's not frightened to give himself room, and he's very adventuresome. And back we go with Parker. That big back lift there of Nasser Hussain thumps it into the off area, but Parker has a smile. Law was the man, the vice-captain, so captained the vice-captain. And right up to this point in time, it's Jeff Parker bowling his 10th over, 9.3. He's got 1 for 48, so he's been reasonably expensive. So they were in the 34th over, just at the completion of this over. 16 overs will be bowled, and at this point in time, England looking at a score of in excess of 200. Of course, Australia just needs to grab a couple of quick wickets if they're back in it, but the advantage would just be slightly in favour of England at this point in time. So Parker would cut that back. Good medium pace off cutter. Two for 133, Hussain 25, Elaine on 56 as Parker comes in. Elaine goes up, that's out. caught at mid-off, and that's the wicket that Parker wanted. Caught Law at mid-off, and Elaine has been dismissed for 56. So that's 3 for 133. Mark Elaine was caught at mid-off by Law, Stuart Law, the vice-captain, and it was a straightforward catch, not a problem there at all. So Jeff Parker gets his second wicket. So that was a very, very handy breakthrough for England. So England 3 for 133 on the 35th over. Mark Elaine, 56 off 88 deliveries. He was caught by Law off the bowling of Jeff Parker, and it happened in this particular manner. He went after it, and that short backlift was in evidence there, but straight down the throat. So a very, very handy wicket there for as Christopher Lewis comes out for England. I leave you in the capable hands of Greg Rees and Ashley Mallett.
Thank you, Ian. And that really was a wicket Australia were desperate to get. Jeff Parker, the Australian captain, picking up 2 valuable wickets. That of the England skipper, his counterpart, Michael Atherton, caught at the wicket for 29, and Elaine, the man just dismissed, caught by Stuart Law at short cover for 56. But England still very much in a very good position here. The run rate is nearing 3.8. And so the England batsmen have done it very well indeed. And Hussain on 25, he really is looking in good shape. And as I say that, he gets an outside edge, no slip, and they'll come back for 2. No, they won't. A good piece of fielding there by Holdsworth. But a little bit of spin there for the leggy. That's Adrian Tucker. He bowls fairly brisk leg breaks. Doesn't give him a big chance to turn, but that one certainly did. And it's a welcome back to Greg Rees.
Thank you, Rowdy. We're in the 36th over. 3.8, the England scoring rate.
It's not a bad ball to get first up. Fully. So Chris Lewis just failing to get that one away. It's a better line and length. So Hussain on 26. And Chris Lewis, the man facing, yet to get off the mark, just to face a couple of deliveries. This turn there, good delivery. Brought Lewis forward, beat the outside edge. That was a very good delivery. Have a look at this.
Bit of drift there and quite a deal of spin beating the outside of the bat.
Yes, and it was quick spin. So a very good over, perhaps the best over he's bowled, Adrian Tucker. He has strayed down leg side on occasion, and perhaps that's due to him being a little bit front on at delivery. He doesn't get on a very side on at action, at delivery rather. Very front on. And there again he strays down leg side. But all in all, a pretty good over from him, Adrian Tucker. 8 overs, none for 33.
Bowling into this pretty stiff breeze. He's getting a lot of drift, isn't he, Ashley?
Yes, he's drifting into the right-hander, as most leg spinners would do with the breeze in the right quarter. But on occasion, he's just perhaps overcompensating. Christopher Lewis's card hails from Leicestershire. 151 runs in this competition so far, average of 25. He's also picked up 16 wickets at 12.2. So pretty handy all-rounder for England. He's done particularly well. Leading wicket taker in the Youth World Cup, and he's also averaging 25, so that's pretty useful effort.
Handy cricketer to have. Nasser Hussain on strike, and it's Holdsworth back into the attack.
Holdsworth back into the attack. His first 4 overs, he cost 18 runs. So he's into his 5th over now. He bowls with a fair amount of pace. Right arm fast bowler, Wayne Holdsworth.
The glide shot down to third man. There'll be just the single there for Hussain.
Wayne Holdsworth, none for 19, into his 5th over, 18 runs from his first 4 overs. So a little bit expensive early on. And it's very important for the Australian cause that he bowls very tightly here, perhaps picks up a wicket or 2. Wide outside off stick and not called by the umpire, Daryl Harper. There he is, umpire Daryl Harper. I just got the feeling that batsman at the non-strikers end, Hussain, was asking why wasn't that called. Having a little chat. Didn't work.
This is Lewis, Chris Lewis. Not the Chris Lewis who was runner-up at Wimbledon.
This is Holdsworth. Nice free-flowing run-up. A little bit square on at delivery. Very strong. Pretty good rhythm. Just a bit square on at delivery. But there's no doubt about it. He has got genuine pace. Now umpire Rick Evans is just adjusting the stumps. All is in readiness, so just a little bit of a delay there. No slip. The field pretty well spread. Even got a man on the fence at mid-off. It's a good shot. He's off the mark. Chris Lewis with a single out to deep cover. Very good shot for 1. Hussain on 27. Lewis off the mark on 1. Chris Lewis, born of an Indian father, English mother. And that's how he got off the mark.
Hussain trying the glide shot again, failing to make contact. The end of the over, England now 3 for 136. The end of over number 37.
Beaten by pace there, genuine pace, and he was very much late on that shot. Ball was through to the keeper before he got his bat anywhere near the line of it. Probably just as well. Now Adrian Tucker to continue. He bowled a pretty useful over last time up. Bowls at a fair pace. When he does throw the ball up, he looks a lot more dangerous. There's a run rate, 3.67 after 37 overs, so England's still doing it extremely well indeed. Nice little dab down to backward point. Holdsworth does the fielding. So Tucker's getting that drift in towards the right-hander. Perhaps too often he's strayed down leg side.
Adrian Tucker and Chris Lewis is the man on strike. More turn there, but misfield.
Adrian Tucker. This is his action, as the batsman would see it. A little bit front on. As you see, his front foot sprays out towards mid-wicket. He really needs to get a little bit more side on than that. He does give the ball a genuine tweak. He spun the odd ball appreciably. doesn't give him much air. He bowls a little bit quickly. Perhaps bowls a bit slower in the 3-day matches or in his club matches back in Sydney. In the 1-day game, he pushes them through quite quickly. 3 for 138. So Hussain on 28, Lewis on 2, as the drinks bearers come out with the hot chocolate and a cup of tea. Certainly wouldn't want a cold drink on today. It's quite overcast. Jeff Parker, the Australian skipper, 10 overs, pretty expensive, although he did pick up 2 very valuable wickets. Michael Atherton, his counterpart for England, the England captain. He had him caught behind for 29, and he also had Lane caught at cover for 56. That's the England card. Ramp Kranesh out for 10, Lane 56. And Atherton had a very slow start, and then he started to play some very good drives, out for 29. Hussain's looked in very good shape, 28 off just 34 deliveries.
Ashley, I gather from your comments along the way that you think England might hold the upper hand at this stage of the proceedings, with a run rate approaching 4 and over.
Yes, although it's a very, very good track, and I think England have got to get around about 220 minimum, and anything over that would be a bonus. Around about 240 would be a very competitive target for Australia. Australia have got a pretty good batting lineup, and on this track and on that short boundary, I think England would have to get 220 plus to have a show.
David Hooks mentioned earlier today that the Englishmen are much better chasers in 1-day cricket than Australians, meaning that they go about chasing a target a bit more sensibly than the Australians. I guess the only other thing that can alter proceedings here is if we do get some rain, that would be in Australia's favour.
Yes, although the Australian youth side have done very well, and it's just a matter of batting sensibly. As long as the run rate doesn't get somewhere up about 5, it's around about 4.5. I think Australia, all they've got to do is bat sensibly from the start. They certainly don't have to slog. Those first 15 overs, if they can keep the scoreboard ticking over. We saw yesterday with Pakistan, in the 20 overs, they scored 93. Whereas in contrast, the West Indians, after 20 overs, only had 37. And gee, that meant a lot at the end of the day, because it was very tight at the end of the day. But with the West Indies almost snatching victory from the jaws of defeat.
Yes, I bet yes, the Pakistanis would have been glad to get that one over and done with, I think. It's the kid from the cane fields at Queensland, Joe Scuderi, bowling to Hussain at the moment. Five overs, or his 5th over for just 8 runs conceded. Pretty good effort from young Joe.
Yes, it has been. He's bowled extremely well, and throughout the series, Joe Scuderi has been a very important member in the Australian side. In fact, he's only had 1 boundary hit off his bowling today. That was an off drive by Lane. Hit him down the ground past mid-off. In fact, it was the last ball of his 4th over. Nasser Hussain, 28. He's only faced 37 deliveries, so pretty good effort. One memorable shot was when he swept Adrian Tucker to the fence. In fact, it was like a drive through leg slip. Turns blind there. They come back for 2. So a nice little educated edge for 2. And Hussain really has got the momentum, or continued the momentum for England.
Just opening up to the face of the bat there. The 3rd man is very deep.
It's a very good throw back too. Just like Lachlan Ferguson there on your screen, the South Australian member of the squad. He's had a pretty good season too, Lachlan Ferguson, in this World Cup competition. Very useful player. as is the man about to bowl, Scuderi. Nice little dab down the gully.
The end of Joe Scuderi's over, and England now 3 for 142.
It's a good time for laying back a little. This game was made for you. Good times are what you make them, and there's only one great taste for you. Great taste, good and hot. The best ingredients, good and fresh. Put them all together and what have you got? You've got McDonald's, good and hot. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Adrian Tucker to continue to Chris Lewis. And again down leg side. Close, it's out. That is out. It had to hit the stumps. It hit. A magnificent throw there. Looks like Stuart Law picked that one up. Down leg side and just tucked away backward of square leg. Stuart Law picked up. He had to hit the stumps for it to be out. It hit the stumps and well out. A very good piece of fielding there by Law. So Chris Lewis tragically run out for 3. And the fourth wicket has fallen for 142. There's one way to stop the run rate soaring, and that's to get wickets. So that was very handy indeed for the Australian point of view. Very disappointed Chris Lewis. Departs for 3. Run out.
Yes, Lewis was looking the goods, and I guess the chance of a run out is always on in this sort of cricket. The man coming out is Trevor Ward, and as he arrives, so does the rain. It's not belting down yet, but there's a fair bit of it out there.
Well, he should feel at home. The England number 6 batsman coming out, the rain petering down.
Be a good summer's day for most of the Englishmen, I think. Adrian Tucker into his last over now. This is Ward, the new batsman.
It's a pretty good ball first up, and Trevor Ward immediately off the mark. In fact, it wasn't. It was Hussain. Of course, the batsman crossed for that last time when Stuart Law hit the stumps to run out Chris Lewis. So Hussain goes along to 30. And Ward is now to face his first delivery.
Not too interested in putting a bat near that at this stage of his innings. The Law direct hit there. Ashley, the standard of fielding in this tournament has been absolutely exceptional, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and that was a real highlight of today's fielding, but the ground fielding, the throwing, the catching has been very good indeed. Swing and a miss, strike 1. In fact, that's the last ball of Adrian Tucker's spell. 10 overs, none for 36. So England 4 for 143. The new batsman Ward. Trevor Ward. Yet to get off the mark. Hussain is on 30. It's back with Scuderi to Hussain. And again, bang on mark. So Trevor Ward, rather. The non-striker's end. There he is in your screen. And that's his card. Hails from Kent. Right-hand batsman, runs 49, average of only 12.2 in this competition. Highest score of 27 against the ICC.
Single there for Ward. It's amazing the number of players who registered their highest score in this tournament against the ICC.
That was Hussain. He's long to 31. Now Ward is to face Scuderi for the first time, yet to get off the mark. Scuderi to Ward. Pretty good field placing here. With a short cover and a point. A man down at third man, a mid-off on the fence, cut off that straight hit for 4. So mid-on, mid-wicket, just backward square leg and a long leg. But that's a pretty good restrictive field. Ward manages to get off the mark. A little single backward of point. He's on 1. Hussain on 31. So he'll be glad of that, Trevor Ward. Adrian Tucker, 10 overs, none for 36. He looked a lot more impressive when he gave the ball a bit of air. But all in all, a pretty good performance. A shade over 3 per over.
Nasser Hussain on strike. He's collected 31 in the total of 145. Has looked to be a very good player. England run rate 3.6.
That's the end of another very good over from Joe Scuderi. 6 overs now for just 14. And England 4 for 145. 40 overs. It really is pressure on the Australians now to really put the brakes on this England scoring. Next couple of overs. Light rain falling. So England batsmen would really feel at home here. A little bit of rain. Overcast conditions. 3.54 after 41 overs.
Holdsworth coming on from the Cathedral end after having a couple from the River Torrens end. A fairly robust young fellow. Bowls with plenty of pace. And it'll be the new batsman, Trevor Ward, to get his first look at Wayne Holdsworth.
Trevor Ward was educated at Hextable School and left with 7.0 levels. Wayne Holdsworth, his first 4 overs, cost him 18, so he's bounced back pretty well so far. Fairly open at delivery, but he's pretty quick. There's an edge, straight to second slip. This could be out. It is out. A magnificent throw there from Joe Scuderi. An edge down through second slip. And Scuderi threw it right over the stumps with Trevor Ward out, run out for 2. 5 for 146. This is how it happened.
Scuderi scooting around very quickly, picks up, lets it rip, and well, pretty close one, but the umpire has gone with the fielder. So Ward has run out for just 1 run after a fine piece of fielding from Joe Scuderi.
Yes, it really did look like a photo finish. Let's have a look at it again. He was out. It's a very good decision by umpire Darryl Harper. It's a lot easier with the benefit of the slow action replay. So Ward out for 1, so his average hasn't exactly gone up. So 5 for 146. That's just what the doctor ordered for Australia. Warren Hegg, the new man.
You're right on it.
So the fall of wickets certainly helping Australia's cause, bringing the run rate down somewhat. Holdsworth into the new player. Shao seems to have passed as Holdsworth comes in again. He's bowling into this breeze now, which is south-southwesterly and pretty strong.
I guess a lot depends now on Hussein's shoulders. He's on 32. He's batted very well indeed. Very blustery conditions here at Adelaide Oval. Always good delivery. Short of the driving length. Hegg lured into the shot. Beaten outside the outside edge. Beat it by a mile. Beaten by the pace. So Australia will be well pleased with the position now. They've bounced back very well indeed.
It's the end of Holdsworth's over. England 5 for 146 at the end of 42.
Little powwow in the centre. Hussein and Hegg having a bit of a chat. Hegg saying, I'll leave it all the scoring to you. You look in pretty good shape. 3.47 after 42. So they'll be looking to get up to 4+ next couple of overs, and then the real run charge in the last 5. Scuderi. The Australians have done it pretty well in the last few overs. They put the brake on the scoring. 2 run-outs have resulted through a little bit of frustration by the Englishman. Chris Lewis, brilliantly run out by Stuart Law. And Trevor Ward, brilliantly thrown out from the deep by this man, Joe Scuderi. He's backed away. The bail blew off. Hussein doing the duty for umpire Rick Evans. Did ask Jeff Parker for a bit of chewing gum, sponsored by Wrigley's.
Hussein has batted very well today. 32 off 47. Hussein wanting the quick single, but having seen 2 run-outs already, his partner Hegg wasn't interested.
There's the skipper, Jeff Parker. Looks like he's got rid of the Wrigley's chewing gum. But he'll be well pleased with the situation now, after England really did look as though they were going to really get away with things. And 5 for 146 in the 43rd over. Australia well placed. So England desperate to get 200+. Might struggle to get 200 now. Perhaps they did use the chewing gum on the stumps.
Scuderi bustling in. He's enjoyed this today.
As well he might. There's these figures. Very economical indeed. He's also the star of that last run out. Very good throw right over the bails. The keeper, Berry, to run out Trevor Ward. 2. Be a leg by there. In fact, it is not. To run, bat in it. Hussain goes along to 34. It's 5 for 147.
Skyrock comes to your screens each night with the latest in local and international music videos, plus video profiles and in-concert specials on major artists from home and abroad. We'll have information on concert and tour dates and general entertainment news. Be watching Skyrock for the National Top 10, Rock Classics and the Aussie Top 5, together with previews of new releases and hit predictions. If it's happening in music, you'll see it on Skyrock, nightly on your satellite music station, Sky Channel.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval as Holdsworth starts a new over. Bowling to Hussain, and into the commentary position, Gordon Schwartz and David Hooks.
Thanks very much, Greg. And yes, Australia have played particularly well in the last hour or so. They've taken, they took at one stage 3 for 13. Elaine was dismissed with the score at 3 for 133. Chris Lewis 4 for 142, and Ward run out 5 for 146. So a very good last 40 minutes or so for Australia. Attempted cut shot, but not successful. And a wasted ball there for England. Very bad time to be bowling bad deliveries. So it's been a good fight back, Gordon.
Particularly good, David. The run rate at one stage there was up to about 3.7, and they were going along smoothly with 3 wickets down. And then all of a sudden, the run out, a brilliant throw by Law, who broke the stumps. Holdsworth again, there's a good shot. Goes out towards the boundary, but only 1 run taken. Hegg, who has played county cricket for Lancashire, faces up. Yet to get off the mark. And then, of course, the brilliant return from the outfield by Scuderi that resulted in another run out. Holdsworth bowling from the northern end in this spell. This is his second over from the northern or scoreboard end.
Very good delivery by Holdsworth, that last one. At this stage of the game, it's important that the bowlers keep the ball very full, and in fact even a full toss is a good delivery on the stumps. The attempted Yorker, there's not much more the batsman can do with that than that. Very good bowling.
Wait.
And you see the problem there if you bowl short. The batsman's got a big arc in which to score, and although he didn't score that time, it was fielded at point. There was plenty of area that the batsman could hit it, whereas the previous delivery, the full toss, the attempted Yorker, can really only be hit back straight. And it's important that Australia, now that they're on top, try and restrict the England total to under 200.
Holdsworth in his 7th over conceded 22 runs, right on the spot. That occasion. Into the 44th over, 5 for 148. Yes, Lewis was, there's the figures of Warren Hegg. Only 38 runs, his highest, 18 against the West Indies, and he averaging 5.4. But as a keeper, he has a high reputation in county cricket in England as a keeper, 12 catches and 1 stumping.
In modern day cricket teams, in selection panels, it becomes important that the wicketkeeper can bat. And if he comes in at number 7, he needs to be an all-rounder, probably the first all-rounder. And it just appears with Hegg's batting that he isn't quite the batsman I'm sure that England would be looking for in the future.
3.36 is the run rate at the moment after 44 overs. He can bat, this fellow, apparently, because he got 130 last year against Northamptonshire, I think. That was for Lancashire. Certainly took the long handle of that one out to the off fence, eastern side, through mid-wicket. He's quite an impressive batsman, David. Hussain.
Yes, he is. Very good technique, and although that's a hit over the infield, it was played with pretty much a perpendicular bat, hitting the ball with the full face of the bat, and pretty safe shot when you're on 30 odd, and he's now up to 39 off just 56 balls. So he's been a thorn in the Australian bowling attack.
Scuderi again. Another one, well cut off, well fielded by Tucker. Dark clouds banking up in the southwest. We did Parker, it was, I said Tucker. We had light rain here just now and the sun was shining, but looks a little bit ominous in the southwest at the moment. There they are, southwest, back over Memorial Drive tennis courts, which will rejoin this picturesque ground. Scuderi to Hegg. Just pushes it away, picks up a single. Yes, that run out, David, of getting rid of Lewis was pretty important because he loomed as a danger man, having scored 66 against Australia on Sunday.
Yes, and he's had a pretty good carnival, Lewis, and a run out like that, of course, lifts the side, and there was a brilliant piece of fielding by Law, followed by an equally good piece of fielding by Scuderi to run out Ward. So the fielding picks up, and if it picks up at this stage of the game, it really does put pressure on the batting side. And those clouds you're talking about, I don't think the Australian team will be too fussed about them. Here he is, Stuart Law, one of the very best youngsters in Australia. He's been 12th man for Queensland Sheffield Shield side most games this year. Yep. And the times that I've seen him in the nets, he's looked more than impressive. But those clouds won't be worrying Australia too much. They quite happy to see the game reduced. It's such a run rate, such an achievable run rate at the moment, just 3.4. And England are 5 for just 155 after 45 overs, and that's not the stage they'd like to be at with just 6 overs remaining.
Building on the right-hand side is the Hyatt Hotel.
So I think it's Ward's run out. Holsworth bowls. It's heads through the vacant slip area to Scuderi, running in from third man, picks up in a very good flat throw. More importantly, getting rid of the ball very quickly, and perhaps a little bit unlucky to be given out there.
Did you have a look at that very closely? That's the first time I've seen it. I think he was definitely out.
He may well have been definitely out on the slow motion replay, but I believe that if the batsman's given out when he's just 2 or 3 inches out, he's pretty stiff, because...
You watch it now. Watch it. He was out.
By about 3 inches, and I'd like to see that after this delivery at normal pace, which the umpire would have seen.
Yeah, you can only look at a normal pace, as you say, and it was a good decision. Now let's have a look at it normal pace. Oh gosh, yeah, he could have been in there, couldn't he? Yes.
Yes, those decisions don't do much for me, actually. I think that the batsman there didn't receive the benefit of the doubt, and as you said, he could have well have been in. In fact, the batsman really made an error there of running for any youngster watching the game.
You mean he ran sideways? Did you think he ran out?
Well, he crossed the pitch, and obviously it's a longer distance to run if you're crossing the pitch than if you're running straight down. Yes. So he's running a further distance than what was required.
He might have run a foot further, David, and consequently missed by an inch or so.
Yes, and just he'll be disappointed in that, I would think. But still, that's what these carnivals are for, Gordon, for the youngsters to learn those sorts of things. And if you can pick it up on a picture like the Sky Channel's picked up, then they can learn it very graphically.
This is Holsworth bowling to Hussain. He's gone along to 43. We're in the 46th over, 5 for 158. Batsman on strike is Hegg. Plays county cricket for Lancashire and scored a century last season. Facing his 11th delivery, and he scored 2 so far. Quick single.
Yes, and I think that Jeff Parker's done it pretty well. Certainly at this stage of the game, he's got it right. He's got just 4 men in the circle, which is the minimum amount allowed. And there may well be a case when the batsman's on 2 or 3 to have an extra man or 2 in the circle. But with a score at just 159 and 4 overs remaining after this, I'm sure that he'd be quite happy to concede a runner ball.
Well, they'll only concede 1 here. No, they won't. They're going for it. It's a chance. No, not taken. Holsworth made a grab at the ball, but it went past him. Pretty awkward one. An awkward return. Well run by the 2 Englishmen. 5 for 161. 46 overs gone.
Yes, so 4 overs to go, 24 deliveries, and it's much better at this stage of the game to concede 24 runs, so England get around about 190, than bring 2 men in and watch that scorecard, which now says 161, jump up to over 200. So Jeff Parker's got it right at the moment.
Ram Prakash, as you can see, out for 10. Elaine 56. They were the early, or most productive of the early English batsmen. Run rate at the moment 3.5. 4 overs remaining. And Hussain will be the man, of course, who will obviously be expected to push this rate along up towards towards the 200 anyway. Yeah. He gets that one away nicely. They'll pick up 2 here.
Jeff Parker's got to be careful that he's got his men on the fence in such a position that he just concedes the single and saves the boundary, and it's a very difficult thing to do, and more difficult for Jeff Parker, who's never played on Adelaide Oval before. But I think he knows what he's doing. He's attempting to do the right thing, but this player is a very good player, and it's important the outfielders do exactly that. Get rid of the ball very quickly and get it back into the keeper as quickly as possible, and don't hold the ball. And Australia can do that. They'll restrict England to under 200, and that should be an achievable target.
That man down there in front of the State Bank sign is the quick bowler Holsworth. Here's Paul Penneth. Judged it well. Law needed a box to stand on then to get up high enough to get his hands anywhere near that one.
Yes, a bad delivery. If you're being super critical, you've got to bowl the ball much fuller than that, because that gave the player the chance to swing through the line of the ball, and that ball could have gone anywhere within a radius of about 60 or 70 metres. And
Pushed
even
that
there,
one away. He just pushed that away. It's a nice half-century.
Well played by Hussain. He's done it very well since he walked in, acknowledging the applause of his teammates and crowd. And both he and Elaine have been very impressive today. Just 64 balls, and there's still just over 3 overs to go. So a real chance if Australia aren't careful, they sneak past the 200 mark.
Rain falling at the moment.
There's the Tasmanian, or some of the Tasmanians, and then on the left, there's Mick Taylor, Glenn Hughes, brother of former Australian captain Hughes. Chance for a run out, but a misfield.
It was Tucker.
Point for Australia, and that's the end of the 47th over. And I saw, although there's rain falling, that the umpires were pretty keen to get the 50 overs in. Tasmania here, of course, for a McDonald's Cup semi-final tomorrow against South Australia. And all players are praying that the weather holds off for that particular fixture. The England dressing room.
Got it up to 3.63 with 3 overs remaining. Some blue sky out there in the west. Can't look behind at the southwest. just passing over, I think. Holsworth again from the northern end. He lofts this one and straight through to the fence. It's well timed.
Yes, it's a long boundary out there. We're playing on the western side of the centre square, and he's hit that, and that's one of the problems that Holsworth faces, being a bowler that swings outside in a gallant attempt at deep cover, but too well timed in 4 runs. That if you bowl the ball outswingers at this stage of the innings, you're under a lot of pressure, because any batsman can put the foot down the track, swing at the ball, and the ball can fly off anywhere. It's more preferable to be a bowler of Garner or Andy Roberts type, who bowls off cutters in at the pads. That's not what Holsworth does, so he's got some problems at the moment.
David, is he trying to bowl just a little bit too fast, do you think?
Yes, he probably is. He probably should compromise, which is not a great thing for a bowler to have to do. But it's more important, especially with only 3 overs to go, that he bowls very full, up at the stump, so the batsman can only hit straight. At least that way the captain can set a field. If he wants to move away from the stumps and swing across the line, then that's fine, because he's enjoying a big risk.
Beautifully caught. That's magnificent. Well, Tucker, I think.
Great catch by Tucker at point. And once again, we see Holsworth is straying short in a big swing. And have a look at that. Plucked out of the air, one-handed. And just a couple of weeks late for classic catches.
That was a great catch, wasn't it?
Great catch. And Holsworth lucky to get away with that. That was, not only did he catch the ball, he saved a certain boundary, Gordon, and hopefully Holsworth can learn from that.
That was timely for Australia, because he was in full flight at that stage, and you get a new batsman coming in now, and he's got to just try and play himself in. There's not much time to do that, is there? No,
you've hiding to nothing now, and it's a time where you really got to have the confidence of your captain and your selectors, and he's got to. The most important thing that should be going through the players' minds now, the batsmen's minds now, are that, especially Harvey Trump, are that he must put bat on ball. There's no point having a big swish and missing the ball. He must connect. And I just wonder if England have played their trump card now.
That is 2. I thought Ashley Mallett was the only one that came in with those. Trump, incidentally, got 36 not out against Australia at Renmark on Sunday, so he too can obviously bat. Holsworth plays it confidently, off drive, only a single. But he middled it, drove nicely.
And that's a good sign, Gordon. You mentioned that he middled it. That's a good sign for England. There's 2 overs to go. Obviously, this bloke can hold a bat, and he didn't do anything rash then. He just played the ball on its merits, was obviously in a positive, aggressive frame of mind, and scored a single off the middle of the bat. And if he puts bat on ball, they can still get over 200.
This could be 4, yes. It was a cross bat. It was a real country shot, but had the desired effect, a boundary. Just getting back to Trump, England was 7 for 58 against Australia when Trump came in, and he and Lewis were the 2 that did the damage. Lewis made 66, Trump 36 not out, and England made 146. He swung lustily. Will he do it again? It's in the air, and it's going to be, I was going to say safe. No, it's not. Well caught. Well caught out there by the skipper. Judged the flight of that one nicely.
Yes, in fact, wouldn't be surprised if he was a bit disappointed in being given out there. It may well have been a no ball. The no ball is such deemed in these games. It goes over the batsman's shoulder in the standing position. So it was a bit touch and go. And in that time, it was based in favour of the bowler. I think Heggs had a little bit to think about that, but pretty handy innings for England. Just 15 balls. He made 10, caught by the captain Parker off Holdsworth, who bowled pretty well Ray Holdsworth, and in the 40th over, England 7 for 48th over, I beg your pardon. England 7 for 182.
It's a good time for laying back a little. This game was made for you. Good times are what you make them, and there's only one great taste for you. Great taste, good and hot. The best ingredients, good and fresh. Put them all together and what have you got? You've got McDonald's, good and hot. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Back at the Adelaide Oval, sun shining brightly now. Still very cool. Australia have just 2 overs to bowl for their allocated 50 overs. And the England run rate 3.79. That gives them a total of, by my calculations, of about 182.
He's off the mark. Big fellow. At 6'3", 6'4". Peculiar mixture, really, because he was born in Lancashire and played most of his cricket in Yorkshire. Couldn't get closer rivals than that.
The white rose and the red rose.
That's right. This was South Australia and Victoria. Scuderi to Trump. He just steers that one down to the gully. Picks up a single. 184. Should be an interesting afternoon's cricket, with Australia chasing close to 200.
Yes, any score that's achieved in the first innings invariably isn't easy to chase, Gordon. We saw yesterday just 200. Good shot
Played that one confidently, fluently. And here's single.
We saw yesterday 203 by the West Indies, which Pakistan got with a few wobbles at the end, and they were going along quite nicely. But the pressure of a couple of things. One, it's a semi-final, and secondly, it's just chasing a total is always a pressure situation. So Australia got their work cut out.
Scuderi again. Just a single. Yes, they're able to reduce those to singles, David, which is very beneficial from Australia's point of view.
Yes, the ground being cut shortened, or the length of the ground, by a line, and the fieldsman fielding inside that line, of course, and just getting ones. There's a chance for a run out, picked up Tucker and thrown to the stumps and given out.
He threw him out, I think.
Well,
Keeper didn't.
Keeper hasn't got the ball in his hand.
The keeper didn't take it. I think he broke the stumps.
It could be an interesting dismissal, this, because well played to point. Picked up by Tucker. Very good bit of fielding. Ooh.
Oh, now what?
Unless the ball hit the stumps.
Well, that's what I thought happened watching.
The umpire had no hesitation, Gordon, so we can only assume that the ball hit the stumps.
Let's look at it again from a different angle. Yeah, the keeper didn't get his glove to it. So that's the third run out.
Second time the stumps have been knocked out of the ground. The first time by Law, and that time there, of course, by Tucker. The other run out being a thrown by Scuderi to Berry. So it's been a good afternoon's fielding by Australia, and we saw yesterday the good fielding of Pakistan and the West Indies, and Australia have continued that tradition on today. So the number 10 batsman for England is Brown. Simon Brown. Just taking guard for the first time on the Adelaide Oval for Simon. And no doubt a great thrill, this youngster. Just one ball remaining in the 49th over. Bowled by Scuderi.
He's a right-handed batsman, but a left-arm pace bowler. Simon Brown, shot there at the moment. 186, the total. 3.8, the run rate. 3.79, yes. I don't get down to 2 places of decimals.
They didn't have calculators when you were doing it, Gordon. It was logbooks.
Logbooks, that's going back a few years.
Logbooks and slide rules.
And your toes.
Yeah. This is the final over, and a pretty important one for Australia. 186 England. Let's just see what the English batsman can do off the final over.
I think they can just reduce that to 1. Oh no, 2, well run. Bad return from down there by Armstrong.
Very poor return, and there's a bit to be said in this situation for captains to put their best fielders on the boundary. Those foremen in the circle, they won't save a single anyway, but the man on the boundary, if they're quick and they're your best fieldsman, at times are able to cut down the 2s to 1. So there's some thought of doing that at times.
Good shot. Just picks up 1. Mullally, hit the stumps. They might pick up 3 out of this. Oh, badly picked up, not picked up. Bad fielding, bad cricket there by Australia.
Very good piece of wicket keeping here by Berry after the ball hit the stumps. If we can capture it, it'll just show the intelligence of the keeper. You'll see that the fieldsman knocks the stumps, or knocks the bails off the stumps, which in effect renders them useless. And you watch Berry now, when you realise there's going to be a chance for a run out, if he stays in shot, he'll pick the stump out of the ground. Yeah, he's got it in his left hand there. And that's because the only 2 ways that a player can then be run out at that end. And one of those is for the keeper to rebuild the stumps. And by that I mean put the bails back on. Or 1 bail back on only has to be on. Or secondly, by having the stump in his hand and his ball and the ball in the other hand and the 2 touching. So a very intelligent bit of keeping by Darren Berry there.
He's looked a competent keeper throughout this innings. Oh, wide.
Pretty unlucky, I think, there.
It was a bit stiff.
Holdsworth, just a bad shot. It's a full toss on leg, or just outside leg stump, as you can see, and missed. So very lucky England. They had a swing at the previous delivery, missed that, which was bad, and had a swing at that one and missed. But fortunately for England, they received the next delivery and a run for a wide.
The outside edge, and pick up probably only 1. Scuderi, good arm, as we saw earlier when he ran Ward out. 193, they started on 186 the last over, so they've taken 7 so far. Holdsworth from the northern end gave himself plenty of room. They could pick up 2 here, depends on the throw. Close, he's out. The 4th one. 4th run out. Good throw.
Good throw. It was the bounce throw, actually.
Yes, it was.
Which is a very good piece of fielding. Doing the right thing with just a couple of balls remaining in the innings. Picked up on the cover fence by the sweeper. Realises he can't throw it on the full that far. Bounces it in. And Brown is out. Run out for just 1 of 4 ball. That's the 4th run out of the innings. And that's
from a different direction.
That's pretty criminal, 4 run outs in 1 innings, although you can understand them at this stage of the game. And in fact, we may even get another one this ball. 1 ball to go.
We're not going to see James Boiling bat. He's coming in, well, unless there's a no ball, of course. But I just like to make the point that he's another newcomer, as it were, because he was born in New Delhi. So it's certainly a cosmopolitan England side. He's a right-hand off spinner. Martin on strike. He's on 8. It's a swing. Now he's out. There's 5 run-outs. Completes it.
Well, that might be a world record, I think, Gordon.
That was what, David?
Might be a world record.
5 run-outs.
Have a look at this. A very good piece of wicket-keeping again. Realising that the non-striker's backed up and he's thrown it to the bowler's end. And Holdsworth does a very good job to backhand that into the stumps and out by a long way.
Martin didn't hurry very much, did he?
No, I don't think he was expecting the underarm throw from the wicket to be so accurate.
Exactly.
But that completes the England innings. A disappointing score of just 194 after the 50 overs, considering their good start. They had at one stage, they were 2 for 133. So they lost 8 for 61, which is not a bad way for Australia to finish innings, but not a great way for England.
And 5 of them run out.
Yes, that doesn't happen too often. So at the end of the 50 overs, England having completed their batting, a run rate of 3.88, they scored 194.
You can see us on After Dark Tuesday night at 9 o'clock.
This week on After Dark, it's the Penthouse Pet of the Year Awards at the Sydney Boulevard Hotel with your hosts Ray Burgess and Tracy Bennett. Meet the finalists. Feel the excitement. The Penthouse Pet of the Year Awards this Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
And welcome back to the Adelaide Oval. Well, England all out for 194, a score that we thought they might surpass. They thought they might get round 230, 240, but they certainly slackened off. Let's have a look at the batting card from the England innings. Australia rallied around this afternoon. The batting card coming up, I can tell you that England was all out for 194. They were nudging just nearly 4 runs and over in the end. First batsman out was Ramprakash. He made 10. Then Elaine. He made a very solid innings of 56 and gave Jeff Parker, the skipper, the first of his 2 wickets. Next, the skipper Michael Atherton. He was very slow to get off the mark, and you can see there 29 from 66 deliveries. Skipper took the skipper's wicket. Hussain, he made 58 of 69 deliveries. A very good innings from Hussain. Lewis run out for 3. Ward also run out by Scuderi. Very good in the field today. Scuderi made 2. Hegg made 10. Trump 3. Martin 8 and Brown 1. And that's where the England innings certainly started to crumble, and the Australian bowlers and fieldsmen certainly rallied. So they require 195 to win. The run rate required 3.9. Shouldn't be too big a task for the Aussies. They've certainly hit a few big scores in this Riverland and Sunrayser preliminary matches. We'll be back in about half an hour to 40 minutes time to check out all the details and the fall of wickets. Kerry Buckridge is standing by in the studios in Sydney with Sky Sports Centre. Kerry, it's over to you.
It's a good time for laying back a little. This day was made for you. Good time to watch you
Here's some great news for Sky punters. On Friday night, Sky Channel brings you brand new harness racing coverage, a total racing service between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern. Not only will you see all the Inter-Dominion races live from Harold Park in New South Wales, we'll also have full live coverage of the top pacing action from Moonee Valley in Victoria. See the top pacers from Australia and New Zealand battle it out for pacing's pot of gold, the Inter-Dominion Championship. Don't miss Sky Channel's non-stop harness racing excitement, Friday from 7 p.m. Eastern, proudly sponsored by the Inter-Dominion Yearling Sales.
And good day everyone, I'm Kerry Buckridge. Welcome to Sky Sports Centre, and the sporting spotlight this weekend will be very much on racing, particularly focusing on the Flemington track in Melbourne, where the VRC tomorrow stages its Newmarket handicap meeting, and on Monday the eagerly awaited showdown of Bone Crusher and Vo Rogue in the $500,000 Australian Cup. Sky Channel will have live multi-state racing on both those days. Well, Bone Crusher had his final serious hit out for the Cup on a slushy Ellerslie track in New Zealand this morning. He boards a plane to cross the Tasman tonight.
In 1986, a New Zealand gelding named Bone Crusher made the trip across the Tasman to tackle the Australian racing scene. He came to our shores with a big reputation, and when he left in November of that year, the name Bone Crusher was known by all.
But the crowd roars for a true champion. Bone Crusher 5 in front. What a great horse. Bone Crusher ahead in front. Ectelec coming at him. Bone Crusher fights on. He finds plenty, and Bone Crusher's a champion. Bone Crusher now waving his star. They hit the line. Photo. Bone Crusher.
After winning the 86 Cox Plate, Bone Crusher left for Japan to compete in the Japan Cup. He never took part in that race. The big gelding was struck down by a mystery virus and was close to death. But the champ fought back and returned to Melbourne less than 4 months later for the 1987 Australian Cup.
Ectelec's holding Bone Crusher at the 100-metre mark. Bone Crusher lifts now. Ectelec a half in front. Bone Crusher's grabbed him. They go to the line. Photo.
Bone Crusher went on to win the Australian Cup by a short half head and is now making another trip to Flemington to defend his title. At least we think he's coming. The gelding was to have arrived on Monday, but a cyclone grounded his plane at Auckland Airport. The Victoria Racing Club, which needs Bone Crusher to boost the crowds on Monday, stepped in and after hours of negotiation chartered a plane to ensure the champ takes part in the $500,000 race. Big Red, as he's known, is due to arrive in Melbourne late this evening and travel to Ballarat, where he'll have his final hit out.
But if anyone's going to deny Bone Crusher of back-to-back wins in the Australian Cup, it's our own racing sensation, Vo Rogue. But like the Kiwi champ, his lead up to next Monday's race has also been a controversial one.
The VRC's decision to charter a plane for Bone Crusher wasn't exactly applauded by Vo Rogue's major owner, Jeff Perry. On Tuesday, Mr. Perry was still fuming and sent shockwaves through the VRC by threatening to withdraw Vo Rogue from the race.
I think if they help one, they should help the lot. And it's like I said I think that they should waiver whoever accepts, they should waiver the acceptance fee and say, all right, you can start for nothing.
It's odds on that Vo Rogue will race in the Australian Cup, but if he doesn't, the racing public will miss out on what will undoubtedly be one of the most exciting races seen in Australia for many years. Vo Rogue's form this year has been sensational, with his last 3 outings producing new track records.
Vo Rogue is being tackled by Military Plume down the outside of Storming Home. Vo Rogue is just in front. Vo Rogue is hanging on. He's too good. Vo Rogue, he leads all the way. Vo Rogue is racing home to a very easy victory in the Orr Stakes. He's won by 5 lengths from go to woe. Vo Rogue will bolt it. Vo Rogue has won it by 6 lengths to Bonhomie second.
But if Vo Rogue's performances are remarkable, then so is his training routine. No rigorous track gallops for this champ. Just a leisurely canter with trainer Vic Rail.
Are you pretty good mates with Vo Rogue?
Very good mates, yeah. We've had him since he was 11 months old. I broke him in and we got him going, and he just learnt to be a mate, you know.
Do you talk to him at all when you're walking around the course?
Oh, you got to talk to him. You talk to him, you just talk to him. He knows you're there and everything.
He's a very curious horse. He likes to know what's going on around him.
Definitely. He's a real gig, as the saying is. You know, he takes notice of everything around him.
It's anyone's guess which of these champs will take out the 87 Australian Cup. But the one thing we seem to be forgetting is that, believe it or not, there are other horses running.
Yes, there are very good ones indeed. But before the gallopers take all our attention, the eyes and ears of harness race fans throughout the nation will be on Sydney's Harold Park tonight for the last round of qualifying heats in the Inter-Dominion Pacing Championship. Sydney's leading reinsman David Aitken will be driving after successfully appealing against a suspension. He'll be trying to get Gay Adam and Tiff's Mystery into next week's championship decider. Watch all the action, of course, on Sky. And with the grand final not far away, let's have some Inter-Dominion nostalgia. Do you remember who won the great race of 1960? Let's go down memory lanes and find out.
This is Brian Howard speaking to you from the New South Wales Trotting Club's Harold Park Raceway. The location this year for the Southern Hemisphere's richest horse race, the 1960 Inter-Dominion Pacing Championship final, worth £15,600. The final will be run over 13 furlongs and 98 yards, a little over 3.5 circuits of Harold Park Raceway. It's a handicap race, and the runners are number 1, First Kiss, Joe Turnbull, off scratch. Number 2, Kiwi Dylan, Western Australia, Max Johnson. Number 3, Maestro's Melody, Victoria, Frank Shin. Number 4, Brilliant Moon, New South Wales, Tommy Hill. Number 5, Ross Lawn, New South Wales, Alf Phillis. Number 6, Meadowlands, Perce Hall. Number 7, Giuseppe has been withdrawn. Off the 12-yard mark. Number 8, Fettle, New South Wales, is driven by Ron Hayes. Number 9, Atmat, New South Wales, Bert Alley, and the back markers, 36 yards. Number 10, Caduceus from New Zealand, driven by Jack Lytton. And number 11, Full Step, driven by Cyril Devine. There's a tremendous crowd here, the biggest crowd we've ever seen on Harold Park Raceway tonight to watch this thrilling final. And out of the 36 best places in Australia and New Zealand, the 10 finalists have qualified in 3 series of heats run during the past 2 weeks, with points awarded for placings and fastest time. And the tremendous crowd here tonight are very excited as the horses move up to commence their preliminaries. And in a moment, you'll see how sportscaster Ken Howard and the great crowd saw the final.
Followed by Kiwi Dylan, a gap then to Meadowland, second last and Full Step at the rear of the field. Phyllis had Ross Lawn pacing well as they made the run to the winning post with 2 to go, and here he was joined shortly after by Fettle moving up sharply on the outside. Maestro's Melody third on the fence, there followed by Brilliant Moon, Atmat, Caduceus, then First Kiss. At the head of the others, Kiwi Dylan followed by Meadowlands and Full Step at the rear of the field. They made the run to the back, 6 furlongs to go in the Inter-Dominion, and still the leader was Ross Lawn, a half length to the good of Fettle, half a length to Maestro's Melody, 3 parts of a length to Atmat, doing it nicely. Caduceus following Atmat through, and there followed by Brilliant Moon. Then a gap to First Kiss, closely attended by Kiwi Dylan. In behind that bunch is Full Step, and here Meadowlands are dropped out to the rear of the field. The leader, Ross Lawn, as they start to run down the side with an advantage of a length now over Fettle, ahead to Maestro's Melody. Fourth is Atmat on the outside, a Brilliant Moon followed by Caduceus, First Kiss, then Kiwi Dylan followed by Full Step, and Meadowlands last. But Ross Lawn the leader as they made the run to the winning post with a bell lap coming up in the final, and Ross Lawn is clear by a length from Fettle. Ahead further off Maestro's Melody, they're followed by Atmat and then Caduceus and Meadowlands going together. Right out in the centre from Kiwi Dylan, at the head of the others, First Kiss and Full Step last. 3 furlongs left to go, and Ross Lawn in front from Fettle on the outside. They're followed by Atmat, Caduceus, Maestro's Melody, and there's a fall there. Tell you about it later. And as they go to the 2 furlongs, Ross Lawn is clear. On the outside, Fettle challenging. They're followed by Maestro's Melody and then Atmat. And look at the New Zealand Caduceus pacing now. And Caduceus soon after moved up to challenge Fettle for the lead. Fettle just in front as they start to run down the corner from Caduceus on the outside. Then Maestro's Melody followed by Atmat. It's Fettle just in front as they come near to the turn from Caduceus, inch by inch, wearing him down. Then Maestro's Melody and Atmat. Fettle first around the corner. Caduceus coming at him, and it's Fettle and Caduceus staging a soul-stirring struggle as they get near the wire. Caduceus in front. Maestro's Melody and Atmat flying too late. Caduceus won it from Atmat. Third in the event, Maestro's Melody, followed by Fettle, Ross Lawn, then Kiwi Dylan. They're followed closely by Full Step, a long gap then, and the 2 First Kiss followed by Meadowlands, and then the driverless horse, Brilliant Moon, whose driver is quite unhurt, absolutely last to greet the judge.
Yes, it was Caduceus in 1960. A great horse and a great caller, of course, the late and great Ken Howard. You're watching Sky Sports Centre all around Australia. Football and cricket next.
Introducing Abu's new Ambassador Light, packed with features every good fisherman demands. This low-profile reel has a centrifugal brake disengaging level wind and a tumble-free spool release, all produced in graphite to give a weight of less than 7 ounces, while still including internal features such as bronze gears and corrosion-resistant bearings. That's truly why we say lightweight, casts great. Abu, the best getting better. The Ambassador Light, now available at good tackle stores in your area and at the Abu Dealer of the Month.
You can see us on After Dark Tuesday night at 9 o'clock.
This week on After Dark, it's the Penthouse Pet of the Year Awards at the Sydney Boulevard Hotel with your hosts Ray Burgess and Tracy Bennett. Meet the finalists. Feel the excitement. The Penthouse Pet of the Year Awards, this Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Rugby League and Test halfback Peter Sterling has denied a newspaper report he has signed a record-breaking contract to stay with Parramatta next year. Sterling has told Radio 2UE Sports Director Ray Hadley he has not signed anything at all. Sterling said the report in the paper